digital debris, banging on the keys like a ghost in the machine. Angry kid, mad at every level, calling out the kings and the pixelated devils. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, burning down the town. He talks, he fights, he stays up through the night. Paradise is burning down, words of paradise, he wears a digital crown. Digital crown. Burn it all down. Paradise. No more monsters, no more lies, no more games. Underneath the hollow skies, one man army against the flood, spilling out the data like it's fresh blue blood. Digital crown. Burn it all down. Paradise. Shut it down. No, just walk away.
Every goddamn time my PC doesn't update, it fucks with the mic. The mic was not muted, just so you'll know. The mic was not muted. I ran a fucking Windows update last night, and it removed my default from the mic. Remove my default from the mic. Yeah, dude, god damn it. God damn it, OBS. I assumed it was going because it was picking up the desktop audio. It was not muted. I even typed in the chat, not muted. I thought you guys were fucking with me. When I saw someone say muted, I was like, no, I'm not. I'm looking at it. It's unmuted. You're just fucking with me. What a fucked up way to start the show. God damn it. And here I was all excited. I had already made a joke about women. Yes, I am a pro. I'm a fucking pro. I swear to fucking God, dude. Now y'all know what kind of show it's gonna be. Now you know what kind of show it's gonna be. Yes, exactly, Nick. If it's not one thing, it's a fucking another. How about that shit? Well, either way, we got a hell of a show. You know it's going to be a good day when you wake up and you see Johnny Somali been put in prison. And then you also got to do your taxes and whatnot because it's April 15th and you realize it's a bad day because taxation is theft and the government fucking sucks. Fuck the government.
The government can suck it.
That's right. We're going to get this stream demonetized out the gate. We're going to get this stream demonetized out the fucking gate. Already have government that suck it. Making fun of women. See a dude jerking off and shit. Alright, who we got in this bitch? War Wizard is here. That Darn Otaku. The Mad Hatter. Jess Sis. Apparently it's Jess Sis' first time here. What a good way to start your first time on the show. See me fucking up like that. Jam Reviews. Anthony Way is here. C-Brew. What up, C-Brew? How you doing, homie? We got Sevi with the heavies up in this bitch. Nick Havoc. Sleeping Nova. Sultan Fahim. Assuming I'm saying that correct. How you doing, Sultan? Triple Fighter 4, who again said muted, and that's again I thought was fucking with me. Mad Hatter, the Luke One? I don't know. Valiant Goat is here. Shout out Valiant Goat. How you doing? I appreciate you. Gal Carrymon up in this bitch. El Mervoth is here. I think Tizyon Nas. Did you change your name again? Why do you change your name to the most ridiculous to pronounce shit? Shadowbuster, shout out Shadowbuster. How's the chat going? And Dragon Ball fan, bro, I'm more than a Dragon Ball fan. I'm a Dragon Ball autistically obsessed hodler. I want to drink, but the cut made me want to stay sober. Oh, that's a reference to the quartering. That took me a sec, homie. Yeah, that was a reference to the quartering. You had me nervous there. I was like, the fuck does that chat even mean? As I was saying, crew, we got a good goddamn show. Obviously, we got what's in the title card, Johnny Somali. We also got the Crowbcat. I'm just now learning who this guy is, by the way, Crowbcat. Apparently, he's a massive fucking YouTuber. Never heard of him before, but apparently I'm featuring one of his videos. So we got that. Government doing fucked up shit with anime again. Video games are in trouble. But basically, the world is burning down around us. And as much as that concerns me, it doesn't concern me more than this right here. Before we start the show proper, I wanna make sure everybody's aware of this, or folks that aren't aware of this, this needs to be addressed, this needs to be talked about. Our boys Caden and Atreus over at New Blackstreet got their shit sniped. Our stream over on New Blackstreet just got taken down for harassment and cyberbullying. The timestamp provided was for our intro, where it's a joke we made during our stream about ourselves. There's no bullying or harassment present. Nothing indicated falls under the claim and community guidelines strike. We were talking about the quartering on this stream as well, so no one fucking knows. Now, if you guys have X, if you guys have, follow Kata, follow Trace, follow New Blackstreet, share this out, tag Team YouTube, tell them to get their shit fixed. Because this is absolute bullshit. If I had to wager a guess, this is one of two things. If I had to wager a guess, it's one of two things. First of all, here's the timestamp of what YouTube is saying is the problem. And again, they've had this intro for ages. They have had this intro for ages.
Whoa! Hold on, no. Gay!
We taking this in the back.
What?
All right, no, not in the back.
So that's supposedly what got them banned. Or got not banned. I mean, their account is fine. Their channel is fine. It was just this particular stream that was taken down. But you get what I mean. Clearly, no violation. They've been running that intro for ages. All right? Ages. So, if I had to wager a guess, either YouTube's AI be fucking up, which, you know, is equally likely to the other option, which is because they were talking about the quartering on that stream, and we've been seeing some mass flagged accounts for people talking shit on the quartering. Somebody, one of his fanboys, or him himself, or one of his alt accounts, who knows, went in and they flagged the stream, but they didn't use the quartering section because that would be too obvious. So they found something else they could use, which is, you know, scantily clad chicks and the gay jokes at the beginning. It's one of those two. One of those two. The stream was down. Yeah, quartering will not survive the end of it, but he will not. Absolutely will not. So point is, that's kind of where we're at with it. If you have X, if you have you know, Twitter, whatever it may be, go ahead and do what you can to share that out and get them taken care of. I don't watch Jeremy that often. Mostly watching others, black conservative perspective. Yeah, fair enough. Anyway, just wanted to say, you know, get the word out there because my boys didn't deserve that. Now, hopefully it doesn't affect their channel in the long run, but pretty fucked up situation. So if you've got X, share it out. Now, let's get to the content proper. Now, look, we ain't starting with no main course up in this bitch, right? We ain't starting with no giant Somali stuff. We ain't starting with the Resident Evil stuff. You need the moose boosh. You need the moose boosh. You need a little appetizer, right? And this video came out a couple days ago. I'm retarded. This video came out yesterday. The government took on Visa and MasterCard. Games weren't worth it. Now, I don't know what the context behind this is. I do know there's this Balulur guy. And I'm pretty mixed on him. Sometimes he makes some good points. Other times he's a fucking retard. I don't know which way this is going to go. Because on the one hand, the whole Visa MasterCard situation, which we've been talking about for ages, you know, the mass censorship of not just Steam, but Visa MasterCard been flagging manga apps and anime apps and whatnot in Japan since like 2024. I've been covering it since then. There's been massive issues with forced censorship via Visa and MasterCard. Now, there supposedly was that executive order that was signed into law under the Trump administration to fix this issue. There was also a lot of issues with that executive order that I pointed out on my stream when everybody was running with it like this is some great thing. No, there's a lot of loopholes. So let's see what this is in regards to. Let's see how he builds this out.
And MasterCard, the companies that spent last year enforcing their rules on Steam and itch.io, basically deciding what gets to count as legitimate art. And a year where even if they wanted to, Steam couldn't really do that much. So, for a year, these payment processors have been untouchable, even after the public push.
Out the gate, more than a year. Again, this is why I don't necessarily care for Balulur, or how the fuck you say his name. He's British, it doesn't matter. This has been an ongoing issue. People don't realize how big of an issue it is until it affects them. But this has been going on for more than a year. If you go back and look at my channel in like October, November of 2024, you will see me covering this with Visa and MasterCard, specifically going after Japanese markets. So, you know, it doesn't surprise me that it didn't really make waves over here in the West, unless you follow that sort of content. But this has been a far longer issue than just a year. They've been gearing up for this.
But in the other corner, we have a new challenger, and that challenger is the US government, the heaviest heavyweight that some are now hoping can pressure these companies. But before this big bout gets underway, well, as it turns out, there's probably a real fix. But it's probably not going to come from either corner of this argument.
Good. I've been saying for ages, the government can't fix shit. Alright? Government's bad at everything. I don't care how much you love Trump. I don't care if you're MAGA, left, right, none of that matters. The government sucks at everything. What's that famous quote from Ronald Reagan? That was the scariest words you can hear. But not that I'm a fucking Reagan fan. Reagan was a fucking retard. But he was right with this. Scariest quote you could hear. I'm from the government and I'm here to help. So as much as I get that people are appreciative of this whole executive order to try and curb what's going on with Visa and MasterCard, you know good goddamn well they ain't going to do it right because the government can't do anything right.
That's what makes it an interesting story. Let me get you up to speed. So last year, Valve and itch.io, who are the biggest commercial and artistic game distribution sites, basically gave up control of their platforms. And honestly, they kind of had to. The companies controlling the purse strings told them to, right? That's MasterCard, Visa, and the other payment processors downstream. They're the people who move the money around the place, and you cannot run a store without people to move money around the place. And they mostly went after adult games. The payment processors
yes, they mostly went after adult games, but we all know good goddamn well that's just a cover. Because if you look at what they were doing with the manga stuff back in 2024, they were going after manga sites and shutting down entire manga apps. Completely legal, by the way. This wasn't the case of like, oh, these are illegal piracy apps. No, completely legal subscription-based apps that you can get on the App Store on your phones in Japan, and shutting down the entire app because the app had adult-oriented manga on it.
Asked for those games to be removed from sale. Valve's explanation? Well, pressure from MasterCard affiliates over illegal or brand-damaging transactions. And here's the thing. These games were not illegal in countries like America. So this is not about a payment processor saying, that's an illegal thing, we will not facilitate it.
Correct. This is because it's been a while since we covered this. There hasn't been any real new update on this role. We covered a lot of it last summer. We covered a lot of it late into the autumn and whatnot. But there's been no real update. I need y'all to understand. And frankly, we've gotten a whole lot of new viewers to the channel since then. So I need to make sure you guys understand what's going on. This is the payment processors coming in and telling you what you can and more importantly cannot do with your money for legal products, money that you have earned during your 9 to 5, whatever it may be. How you got the money is kind of fucking irrelevant. It is your money. And these heavy hitters are coming down and saying, we get to decide what you do with your money with completely legal products.
That seems reasonable.
Have I looked up Ruby Son, you should know me better than that by now. Get the fuck out of here.
This is different, and to many, including me, it is overreach. Sure, many don't want to play those games, but many do, and they are legal to sell in these countries. Players push back against this with phone and email campaigns trying to change this policy and to stop a third party.
I need to stop you there, Seabrew. This is not pearl clutching. This is not pearl clutching. If you were thinking that the payment processors are pearl clutching, you are wrong. That's a facade. The payment processors aren't pearl clutching. They are trying to force a cultural change. They are trying to force a cultural shift, and they will use the facade of pearl clutching. Oh, you can't play rape games. You can't play incest games. Things that most normal people would be like, yeah, makes sense. That's fucking gross. It doesn't matter. Once they get you okay with the idea of forced censorship of what you can and can't do with your money, then they can exercise that power for other more benign things later on. This is not pearl clutching.
Deciding what could be sold and what art could even be made. Because, yes, to be sustainable, art does actually have to make money. That's the way this works. Money is an exchange of value, and we can't all be, say, Renaissance Italians who happen to find a nice little patron that we can fluff up in return for enough money to fund our art. It's not like that. And even though this story hasn't generated many fresh headlines, Steam's crackdown on adult content is actually still going on. One developer we spoke to tried to release 2 games in the last year, and both were caught by the new standards. The first was interpreted by Steam's moderators as having illegal content, which the devs completely deny. They also had no chance of appeal. As for the second one, well, things seemed to be going well, but then Steam asked them to showcase everything adult that would ever be added to the game. 6 weeks of silence later, Steam blocked it for depicting, quote, real people. That was in spite of them using industry-standard 3D animation. So that's years of work wasted, staff layoffs, contractors suspended, and a studio kept in limbo and locked out of the biggest game store that there is. And one that, of course, was only happy to flick on adult games and completely support them mere years ago.
And it's real easy to be upset spaghetti at Steam about this. It is real easy to be upset spaghetti at Steam. And I'm mixed on this. On the one hand, Steam should stand their fucking ground. On the other hand, there really is no recourse. because it's not just Visa, it's not just MasterCard, it's also PayPal. It's pretty much everybody but Stripe, in fact, so far as I can tell.
But now, some people think that help may be coming from a relatively unlikely place: the US government. First though, something that ties back to our previous coverage, because in this video we learned how game spending is falling, but subscriptions on games are actually rising. Too often we don't use those subs, and that's why Rocket Money is today's sponsor, because they make it easy for you to just
Y'all know the drill. If we're gonna steal some people's content, we'll let the ad read play out.
get a handle on your subscriptions and save money. And you can get started for free today at rocketmoney.com/Bellular.
D-Stock, I want you to use your fucking brain for a sec. D-Stock, I want you to use your fucking brain for a sec. Have I ever just blindly bought into whatever I'm reacting to? Ever? Use your head.
Now, Rocket Money will securely and safely identify recurring charges for you. You can then just cancel them with just a few taps. They've put the work in to make the UI and everything really smooth and easy. So if this is a chore you've been putting off, just, get Rocket Money and do it. Now's the time. Now, they'll also help you with bill negotiation, where you just upload your bill and they'll be able to help you out. I mean, a personal example for me, it's my go-to, is whenever my internet went to its off-contract price, I got on the phone. They initially denied me, but I was able to negotiate a speed upgrade and a halving of my monthly bill. So you can get that kind of thing too. And the thing is, I could have got that months earlier, but life got in the way. And that's the huge value of Rocket Money. They make all this stuff really easy. Now, they've cancelled over $880 million worth of subscriptions. They've helped their customers save up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. They've got other great tools beyond what I've mentioned.
Fun fact, I would talk about how I've used Rocket Money and how it actually is a great service, but they don't sponsor me, so fuck them.
And so if you want to spend less and save more, sounds pretty good to me, join the over 10 million Rocket Money members today at rocketmoney.com/Bellular, or just click.
And by the way, Rocket Hound Dog, he's correct. Take everything with a grain of salt. Can't believe everything. That includes watching me. Fact check the shit that I say. I mean, you're gonna realize pretty soon that I'm always right. I'm objectively correct 100% of the time. I'm basically YouTube Jesus. But still, fact check me and take what I say with a grain of salt.
Link below. You can get started for free and unlock more features with premium. rocketmoney.com/Bellular. As flagged by adult industry site XBiz, the chairman of the FTC has actually written to the CEOs of MasterCard, Stripe, Visa, and PayPal. The subject? Debanking. And that's actually the threat made to Valve and Itch, that their
And we know this is possible. We know for a fact debanking is possible. For one, it happens all the time in China, but it happened to a pretty high-profile case here in the U.S. Does anybody remember a little unknown artist by the name of Kanye West? Yeah, they debanked Kanye West. One of the most regardless of what you feel about Kanye or not, frankly, Heil Hitler kind of a bop. Regardless how you feel about Kanye West, the fact that they could debank and deplatform one of the most recognizable, famous individuals of the 21st century should tell you all you need to know.
Processing would be pulled, and you can't really run the world's largest game store if you're getting debanked all over the place. Here's what the press release says. Full participation in commerce and public life necessarily requires that law-abiding individuals can access and freely participate in our financial system. Of course, for the game makers pushed off Steam and Itch, here's what actually matters here. The letter to MasterCard says that companies can't allow, quote, unlawful debanking by members that process transactions on its network, which basically is what happens with Valve.
Now, this seems to be an update. I could be wrong, but this seems to be an update because the original, and this was the big issue with the original executive order, is that it mostly outlined debanking due to political reasons. So, Steam, itch.io, all that, if Visa, MasterCard could just use some linguistic tricks to state that it's not for political reasons, then they could have gotten around it. So this is a much better wording.
So to some, this basically looks like the US banking regulator riding to the rescue of devs who've been pushed off these game platforms. But actually, this is something that's been building up for quite a while. And that takes me to August 2020.
You mean what third world country is this? This is America, D-Stock. Keep up.
Right in the middle of these game delistings, when the White House issued an executive order. It was called Guaranteeing Fair Banking for All Americans, and it directed the FTC to take action on the issue of debanking. And that's what we're seeing now. Basically, reminders to the heads of these organizations that they are under review and they cannot keep on getting away with what they've done. So by now you might be feeling positive about this story, that payment processors are somehow going to be forced to, well, process transactions for legal sales of goods.
And here's why that's not the case. I will say now what I was saying in July of last year. Almost a year ago at this point. These payment processors, they are more powerful than the US government. Whether we want to admit it or not, they are more powerful. You want to know why? Because Visa, MasterCard, they handle the funding for all first world countries. Ain't no single first world country government big enough, strong enough, whatnot, to strong arm the money men that covers the money flow and cash flow for all first world countries.
But here's the wrinkle in that. Here's the problem. What the FTC and the White House care about has absolutely nothing to do with video games. At least, not with this legislation. That's why the story is actually more interesting and why this video is not yet over. The executive order lists a very specific example of what it considers debanking, and that is Operation Choke Point from the Department of Justice. Originally, in 2013, it was about getting banks to think more cautiously about high-risk businesses. So that's pawn shops, gun dealers, payday loans, online gambling, adult content providers, that kind of thing, which should sound familiar to our story. Now, that's because all of them are at a higher risk of chargebacks or money laundering. Now, in 2017, politicians called a new round of checks on unregulated crypto a second wave. So you got all that risk appetite stuff, but the executive order also brings up banks tracking transactions in and around January 6th. I'll leave you to guess what year, but basically some of those involved were debanked, and the MasterCard letter from the FTC actually goes further. It cites the closure of the president's JP Morgan accounts. So, if you put your detective's hat on, can you see where this story's going, guys? Basically, gaming is just collateral in all of this. The real target...
What'd I tell you? That's why the executive order that was done, I think July of last year, March of last year, something like that, had to do specifically outline based on political beliefs.
Target is U.S. political infrastructure and its financial...
D-Stock, literally everything he has said so far is correct. Whether you like to admit or not, whether you like this guy or not, because I've already said I don't particularly like a lot of his content, everything he says is correct. How do I know? Because I reported on this completely independently of what he's saying last year.
Interests and how banking processes hamper them. That's what it's about. And it's because banks have this concept that is called risk appetite. They'll only take on so many high-risk accounts. That can mean cash-heavy businesses, politicians, their families, and really anyone who could bring in reputational damage. That's because those accounts cost way more to monitor, they carry more risk. So to manage all that, a bank will have its risk appetite, and anything beyond that threshold will basically get told to go and take their business elsewhere, whether it is legitimate or not. Basically, it's them refusing custom. And this is exactly what drove MasterCard and the others to act in the first place. Remember the phrase, brand damaging transactions? It is all about
more risk. It's not like they're slinging dope. Well, here's the dealio, Genetic Spore. Here's the dealio. Risk is a cover. And again, since it might be a while since I've covered this, I'll just repeat what I said back then. Risk is not the reason. Nobody has ever once said, well, I was going to use Visa or I was going to use MasterCard, but now that I know that you're allowed to use Visa or MasterCard to purchase Playboy, I'm going to take my business elsewhere. Nobody has ever given a fuck. Nobody has ever said, I'm not going to use Visa or MasterCard or Discover or whoever because, they let you purchase Playboy. It is bullshit, like, again, linguistic tricks.
That. So, if you're wondering why a payment processor gets to decide what games you can buy, well, this is the actual machinery behind it. It is risk appetite. It's not really a content review. It's not a legal judgment as to whether that product should be sold, whether it's legal to be sold. No, it is a financial calculation about brand exposure and criminal liability.
Again, he is absolutely wrong here. It is all about forcing a societal change. It is all about using your money to force new societal norms that you have no choice but to accept. 1, 2, 3 generations from now, if they up and decide they don't like fat kids. Well, hey, base, I don't like fat kids either. In fact, I don't like fat people in general. Balula here's too fat for me. Lose some fucking weight. Grow some better facial hair. And that's coming from me. Point is, if they decide they don't like fat kids, so they want to turn your bank card off to where you can't purchase a fucking Big Mac, they have that power.
Some hope that if the full weight of the US government comes down on this, that adult game makers may just happen to benefit from it going on. That perhaps as a part of these sweeping reforms, they may finally just get left to run their businesses in peace. But the thing is, the target of all this is not that wide. Let me explain. Reuters confirmed last August that across 13 years of Consumer Financial Protection Bureau data, only 35 out of 8,361 people who complained about debanking cited political or religious reasons. That's the problem for the game side of things, because per those numbers, what the government is targeting here is basically those 35 things out of over 8,000. And that basically means the banks really don't have to do that much to fix the administration's particular complaints. And that likely doesn't mean great news.
Mr. Richlow for a two-banger. I remember a World War I veteran talk about evil bankers. I see what you did there. I see what you did there, Mr. Richlow. Thank you for the two-banger, homie.
News for those who have been banned from Steam and from itch. And that is especially because they're already gearing up to be challenged under entirely different legal terms. When we look at the actions of MasterCard and the other payment processors, we see that what they're implementing is their own policies. They are not implementing laws. They are targeting legal content. But the people...
Yeah, that's all politicians ever in the history of the world.
Making it can't really fight back in the same way that the White House can, for obvious reasons. But what can change is the law, and Steam has already shown us exactly how it responds whenever legal authority gets involved. Now for that, we go back to March 2025. That's when we got the first rumblings of the payment processor problem, and it started with no mercy. It was an adult game in Steam. It was flagged by an activist group called Collective Shout for its content. Now that content eventually got in trouble with the UK government, where...
Australian government. I mean, maybe UK as well, but Australian government.
Was actually illegal to be sold under 2023 legislation. Now, Valve eventually responded to this by geo-locking the game, but that was weeks after it was first flagged. Now, what that did is it set the tone for the platforms caving to payment processor pressure later on in the year.
And again, for those of you guys that don't remember or maybe weren't watching the channel when the Collective Shout stuff was going on, Collective Shout is an Australian conservative feminist activist group that are heavily into the censorship of, frankly, anything and everything. It's not just video games. They attempted to censor fucking makeup ads because makeup ads were too sexual. Successfully, by the way. Collective Shout was able to get Grand Theft Auto 5 removed from Kmart stores in Australia. And you need to ask yourself, how does this one weird little Australian feminist group have this much power? Well, it's because most of the board members of Collective Shout actually had ties to the Australian government. And obviously ties to the Australian government means ties to the payment processors, the people that line the pockets, the lobbyists. We did a breakdown and look at Visa and MasterCard and what politicians they lobby. And it was pretty much 50-50 equal on the left and the right.
And it actually went further.
Yes, conservative. Collective Shout is a far-right conservative Christian activist group, yes.
Of 2025, Video Games Industry Memo covered the case of Flick Solitaire, where Russia's media regulator went after the developer Flick Games because they breached a 2006 law by promoting non-traditional sexualities. Ooh! They're going to come out of the screen! They're going to get you and make you non-traditional. Very scary stuff. And the offending part of the game? Well, it was, optional LGBTQ-themed art cards. Clearly a present and active threat that was going to destroy the fabric of Russia. Now, Valve immediately geo-locked
Well played, Gord.
the game in response to this, and they blamed the developer for not actively restricting their game to comply with local laws. Now, whenever something like that happens, that's not Valve saying, oh yeah, we agree with Russia. It is Valve basically saying, well, you can't sell a game on our store in a region where that game would be in breach of the law in that region. I probably could have phrased that better, but I hope you get the point. Now, in both cases, they didn't even need a payment processor to get involved. Steam will comply with the law, just like they will for, say, age verification. And that might make the next point a bit alarming for some of you. The foreword of Project 2025, which is a legislative wish list.
Is this dumb bitch really going to go on about Project 2025? Alright, let's hear it.
Published by the Heritage Foundation, it calls for adult content to be outlawed outright. That means producers imprisoned, distributors prosecuted, and technology firms that host this stuff being shut down. And game developers analysis pointed out...
Now, to be fair, we are seeing that. We are seeing that, but here's the thing. We're not actually seeing it as part of some conservative agenda. It goes far beyond that. We're seeing it's, again, part of a global, worldwide agenda to force compliance so there's a shared worldwide societal norm. Because once you do that, it makes it a whole lot easier for a one-world government to come in and make you live in the pods, eat the bugs, and be happy.
The definition is broad enough to catch games that maybe, say, just have some of the gays in them. A queer character. As an example, The Sims. If two of your Sims bang, your Sims could be in breach of the law. Quite something. Now, if that becomes law...
The Sims should be banned. Not because it's gay, but because it fucking sucks. And it's gay.
Platforms like Steam and itch would not have a choice. That's because they've already shown us that they will comply. Now, what I want you to do here is not think about this in partisan political terms. It's not about sides winning. In my view, this sort of thing is about what role government should take. Personally, I think that the likes of this would be a huge overreach, which I absolutely do not support. You know, it reminds me of, say, the days when David Cameron got very perturbed about face-sitting, and some UK law was changed. But beyond that, the through line across all of this, the payment processor policy, the government legislation, the platform compliance, it basically is that a handful of American financial companies hold veto power over what can be sold worldwide. No single is that. And the reason why is it's the structure. It is literally how all of this shit runs. Because we do our exchanges of value, not via bartering. I don't turn in some grain to Gabe and then have Gabe give me a video game. No, I have this thing called currency, and it's...
And considering Gabe a pretty hefty boy, you know he loves his grain, you know he loves his carbs.
The companies that facilitate the maneuver of that currency that effectively dictate what can or cannot be done. But there may be some good news. There may be changes to that structure. I first came across this in one of my favorite channels, TechAlter. Now, he recently pointed out that countries are trying to reduce their reliance on American transaction services like Visa and MasterCard. This is by way of national digital wallets, phone-based apps, peer-to-peer payment platforms, basically all systems that would give storefronts options beyond the two companies that control the major pipelines. So, if a platform doesn't need MasterCard to process payments, then MasterCard doesn't get to decide what that platform can sell.
And this is something that I brought up. Yo, shout out Vesper, thanks for the sub. This is something that I brought up last year when we were covering this. While this is a great idea in theory, and while it's something that I do hope actually does end up working out, it's something that, me and I know several others use, is, obviously I still, use Visa and MasterCard because it's the way of the world. You can't not use them. But yeah, peer-to-peer stuff is great. I use several peer-to-peer, sort of ways to transact accounts and whatnot. It's also been just ingrained in not just the American populace, but any first world populace to use these large payment processors. Because again, they control everything. It is effectively a legal monopoly. So getting a societal shift to move towards using peer-to-peer based stuff, that's a massive undertaking.
That is the leverage that is currently missing. Because as much as Steam is big, as much as Valve are powerful, they're really powerless in the face of stuff that is this big. I mean, think about the sheer insane scale of the likes of Visa and MasterCard. And even more than that, just look at the scope of their profits. I imagine that with a nice profit margin like that, one would certainly be able to afford just a little pinch of political lobbying. And that's one of the ways where the capitalist system can actually break down. Whenever there is influence in government, whenever these companies essentially do act as utilities in how big they are and how they basically facilitate the world working, and then, well...
D-Stock, if you actually believe If you are actually so fucking stupid that you believe that the United States is in the process of stopping these monopolies, I don't have a fucking bridge to sell you. Bro, I got the bridge, I got the scaffolding, I got the goddamn water underneath the bridge. If you think that the government gonna come in and clean shit up and help us little dudes that just want to play our video games, brother in Christ, you got a Somalian level IQ.
So much power and so much profit that they can start tipping the scales in their favor. I think it would be better for all of us if there was more diversity in the payment space. And the news on that front is early, but it is good. None of the alternatives are fully ready yet, but they are happening. They are being built.
You literally said the United States is in the process of stopping these monopolies. That default means the government, because the people can't do shit. That's why we have a representative democracy, a constitutional republic, to have government do things for the people, except for they don't do things for the people. You did mention the government, whether you want to admit it or not. You can't weasel out of those dumbass words.
Payment processor effectively pulls a game from a storefront, the case for building those alternatives only gets better. And I think the direction of travel is those alternatives. So, I think we can all agree that MasterCard shouldn't be the people dictating what is or is not a valid piece of art, but it's not the only example of global infrastructure getting in the way of, well, the video games. And that's why we need to talk about the RAM crisis. There have been some maybe positive headlines. I don't think they're all that they're really made out to be. And to learn why, watch this.
An interesting video. It didn't really give us any new information, but it did, it did confirm what I've been saying for a year now. And I do like it when my biases are confirmed, because everything that he'd been saying, I already covered last fucking July. And it's nice to see people eventually get on the same page, get on the correct page. Better late than never, you know? Alrighty. So I've been asked to talk about this. I wanted to talk about it yesterday, but Countercast, it already hit the couple-hour mark. Sammy had to go. We were doing things like that. Why am I yelling at you? Because you're saying dumb shit. I'm not here to placate my fucking audience. I'm not here to be nice with you people. You say dumb shit, I'm gonna call out dumb shit. If other people say dumb shit, I'll talk to them. I'll call them out as well. But so far, no one else has said dumb shit. You don't want to be called out? Fucking bounce. I don't give a fuck. Alrighty, where was we at? That's right. Another manga author is getting harassed and about to quit due to Western fans. I am loving, absolutely loving, this modern trend of Japan actually seeing what the fuck is going on. Finally noticing that the Western world is destroying and altering and completely just melting what was Japanese manga, anime, video games, the whole nine. Yes, exactly, Mervoth. Cultural colonizers. And so after we saw the harassment of a mangaka that basically got them to quit their manga, quit the anime, walk away from the internet, it looks like it might be happening again. Japan is finally seeing what these tourists are actually doing.
Can we go one day where the West isn't harassing a Japanese manga author for how they write their series? Because in the span of 48 hours, we had an author of Gambare Nakamura-san ran off the internet and closed all their accounts online, basically saying they're quitting being an author while their anime is actively airing, which is basically a highlight of someone's career, their dream goal, and they shut everything down. Then, at 24 hours after that, we now have another author, the author of I Want the Losing Heroine to Win, now facing very similar online harassment, people going into their DMs on their social media accounts demanding them to write the story a certain way, and if they don't, they will continue to harass them indefinitely, demanding...
I blame My Hero Academia for this. I blame My Hero Academia for this. If the mangaka from My Hero Academia weren't such a bitch-made pussy, all the harassment from fans caused him to go back and rewrite the ending because they weren't happy. Yo, fuck you. You know what you tell your fans that are upset spaghetti that the character you like didn't get shipped with the other character you like? You whip your fucking dick out and you slap him in the face with it. The moment homeboy that wrote My Hero Academia bowed and kowtowed to these fucking freaks, that is what made them realize that they have power. I don't even want to, I was going to call it a fake power, but it's not a fake power. Because we're seeing it over and fucking over. These whiny losers, who probably didn't buy the product to begin with, mind you, bitch and moan on the internet, The author feels they needed to change their work instead of sticking with their artistic integrity, and now these losers have power. And this is the rise of tourism in goddamn anime and manga.
Them to have certain characters end up with other certain characters, demanding them to write a
We need less My Hero Academia mangaka and more Tite fucking Kubos. That's what we need.
Way, all these different type of things. It's completely rude, it's completely disrespectful, and this is what the author that is facing this harassment had to currently say. Currently at this moment, their account isn't completely locked down, but you can see that replies are already locked, and most likely, if the harassment continues, we could probably see this author potentially closing their account completely down, very similar to what happened to the other
The
author
harassment will continue until morale improves.
a few days ago. So let's see what they had to say. It seems like a lot of people reading for free on the overseas version of the site mistakenly think they're the ones steering the story. So I get a ton of requests like, if you don't pair XX and XX, then as a writer, blah blah blah.
Runaway Vagabond coming in with a 5-banger. Fact. All these mangas need to stop listening to anime tourists. These guys are not fans and need to be gatekept out the community. It's so funny you say that. The next big project I'm working on is literally about that. It is about the rise of tourism in the anime community. Script is done, videos recorded. It's just a fuck ton of editing work. And so, yes, I agree with you completely. My man, with a plan, this is for you.
Call it whatever, but if I made $1 for each time I made a racist joke, I would actually have $0. 'Cause I'm not joking.
Based? Based? Hello?
Shout out, Vagabond, you absolute legend. Thank you so much.
I'm thrilled to have fans overseas, but for how loud they are despite reading for free, I'd really appreciate it if they would just drop some cash first. And then
Based! What a great sentiment. Yo, hey, pay for some shit, you broke bitch.
And this is the author also making another statement on a different account, retweeting the post as you can see here, saying this: "Yo, free pirate users and overseas bros flooding my DMs with complaints about the rollout." Like, this is just one example, man. Usually about a week after the update date, the folks who get hyped on their illegal translations come storming into my DMs. I put out warnings like, don't read the pirate versions, but it's pointless. If you're going to send a DM, at the very least drop some cash or send a fan letter. And this is the DMs apparently the author is receiving continuously, and harassment and all that. And from what I can see, I believe this is in Spanish. Correct me if I am wrong.
What do you mean, what am I smoking? Oh no, I want fans to pay for the official work by the Japanese individuals, not the bullshit localized version. Yeah, no, yeah. Calling for the support of the mangaka that are actually writing the true and legitimate uncensored versions of the work. Silly me.
What people are confirming here is that people are going into the author's DMs, demanding certain characters to be shipped with certain characters, the MC to end up with certain people, and basically overall just being very nasty, very rude, even though they're reading the series on pirated sites. And the author is completely transparent here in this post, and even the initial post that I read, that they are aware that there's a lot of people—
Junebug with a 2-banger! It's the shippers! It is. It's always the fucking shippers, bro. It's always the shippers. We need to put the shippers in the wood chippers. Treat shippers like we treat trans people.
Illegally. They're very well aware of this. They say that please don't do that, but at the same time, they're saying it's going to happen. But they're saying if you're going to read it illegally and read a pirated version, at the very least,
for a 2-banger. Once sent a fan letter to the mangaka of Helsing. Nice. Did he ever respond? Hope so. That's awesome, Mervoth.
Money somehow, or send them a fan letter. And in this case, they're not getting either or, and it's just completely disrespectful, and it's honestly really making this offer very upset. And you can see that there is definitely a bubbling point, like they're getting angrier and angrier as time goes on, because I want to point something out here. The date that this post was made here, this post was made today, a few hours ago, while this post that initiated and revealed this situation was made, you know, when the offer of Gambari Nakamura was ran off the internet. So basically, within those 2 days, we have seen intense increase of harassment towards a lot of offers, and that it's ramping up and getting a lot worse. One of the ways we can see why this is happening is because of the algorithm shift on X, for instance, where the Japanese and English communities can now communicate with an instant translation of their posts. Because, like, when you click on a Japanese account, it's instantly translated, as you can see here. It no longer appears like this. It just instantly translated, so you can instantly communicate with, like, offers all around the world instantly. And obviously this adds a new door that's open for cultural exchange, but it also brings in a lot of that toxicity around the world as well, and a lot of people within the Japanese community is experiencing this toxicity for the very first time.
I think it's funny because a lot of this is probably a response to the fact that, as a whole, as a general rule, and I'm just assuming, I could be wrong, but my assumption is that, as a whole, the Japanese are very nice, quiet, polite, homogenous society. So they don't realize how loud and brash and stupid dumb fuck shippers in the West can be. Like, they're seeing this for the first time, and it's probably goddamn mind-blowing.
Experiencing just how aggressive and angry some people get in the West about how certain fiction is written. And in this case, a lot of these Japanese offers that have romance are probably getting the blunt force of all this drama and issues, because we know how crazy shippers get, how they really want certain characters to be with certain characters, and they get outright toxic, send death threats. I have seen this over and over again with different series. Let's think of My Hero Academia.
Is this your girlfriend's phone number? Because I fucking called it.
Very good example here. Think about if My Hero was still coming out right now, and with this new algorithm shift, how bad it would have been for Horikoshi.
It was bad enough that that bitch bent the fucking knee.
Like, I could not even begin to imagine. But what I want to point out here, though, is that there's a lot of offers now getting harassed, and it's getting worse. And I'm putting a spotlight on this to kind of make sure people can send some support, words of encouragement to this offer, and basically just, I don't know, just say something nice to them, because clearly what's going on here is completely despicable, and doing something like this to an offer and not, like, treating them like absolute garbage is inexcusable. It's not right. There is no excuse for it whatsoever, and it's just like, all this is going to do is cause this offer either A, to become very angry and completely disregard any opinions from the West, or they're going to shut down their accounts, completely lock them
I could
down.
not give a fuck if they disregard any opinions from the West. Even the based ones like us. Even the real fans like us here in the West disregard us too. Disregard us, because nobody in Japan, no creative in Japan, should give a fuck about what anyone outside Japan thinks. Anime, manga, Japanese games, these are all intrinsically Japanese things. That's why we love them. Just like how I don't give a fuck what some, tea-sipping ninny in the UK thinks about us having guns at the breakfast table in America, no Japanese mangaka, game creator, politician, nothing should give a flying fuck what anyone outside Japan thinks.
And never interact with their community ever again, which is very disheartening, because obviously, despite all the anger and evil that could be in the world, it is nice when you see an offer communicate with their community and talk with them and have an exchange of kindness. But obviously, with so many bad actors that come in and really want to ruin everything for everyone, it causes stuff like that not to really happen. And it really makes the entire situation with the Mushoku Tensei offer, Refugin, very distinct and different than everybody else I've seen on the internet when it comes to manga offers or offers in general for Japanese works. Because the offer of Mushoku Tensei, he straight up, he deals with a lot of harassment. I've covered it already many times on the channel, and there was one recently that I didn't cover but got pretty bad. He even had to make a straight up statement on the entire situation, and basically, despite all this harassment, he doesn't lock down his account, he continues to post, and he straight up says that he writes what he wants to write, he won't censor himself.
Was this the author, was this the dude that said he would rather, didn't he say something along the lines of he would rather his pen break or then have to draw pubic hair on females? Something like that. Is this the same? Because that was funny as fuck.
He will continue to do what he wants to do. Respect. Based. But obviously, not many authors
Not him?
can
Okay,
deal
thank
with
you,
that.
Marmot.
Not many offers can be able to put up with intense harassment, because obviously when you're in your niche group and you're kind of slowly building up a successful offer, any type of work, honestly, there is a jump of popularity. And some people that become popular, they can't deal with it. They can't deal with the overwhelming popularity because so much harassment follows after that.
Akira Toriyama did it best, baby. Akira Toriyama was the best in the game at this. He wrote Dragon Ball. He barely did interviews. He shut the fuck up. He didn't go and, meet fans, do meet and greets, barely appeared in the public eye. There's a reason there are so few photos of Akira Toriyama. Because the dude didn't fuck with the media. The dude didn't fuck with the fans. He did what he wanted, and he moved the fuck on. R.I.P. to the fucking GOAT.
Like in Japan, for instance, they use pen names. They hide their face, they hide their gender, they don't reveal who they are because they don't want intense online harassment. They don't want people knowing who they are, harassing them for certain opinions online. They keep everything completely private. And that is what's going to cause more offers to go down that path because of situations like this.
That's why I said, Anthony, that he didn't do that stuff. That's literally exactly what I said.
I cannot believe people, once again, has not learned a thing, and we're seeing it again. Not even weeks later, not even months later, within the span of 24 hours to 48 hours, we have another offer getting close to being ran off the internet. That's gross. I will leave it at that, though. You all have a fantastic day or night wherever you live. Be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.
Excellent video. Guys, I would like to remind you, it is your duty. It is your moral obligation to bully tourists, to eviscerate tourists, to drive them off the platform the same way they're trying to drive these creators, these mangaka, these artists, all of them off the platform. If you need to have social media. As Papa Leon Christ of YouTube, it is my one commandment. This is my one commandment for you. Is that you get yourself an X account. Or if you already have an X account, you use your X account. Bully one tourist a day. That is my only commandment, my children. Bully one tourist a day. That's your quota. And if you're feeling real froggy, also a politician. If you're feeling real froggy, also a politician. Talk some shit to AOC or some shit. Tell Ilhan Omar to go back to Somalia, because fuck that bitch. Anyway, there's the link. I dropped it in the chat. Make sure to give it a like. It's getting wild out in them streets, boy. It's getting wild out in them anime streets, manga streets. Fuck tourists. Shippers get the wood chippers. Put that on a fucking shirt. Shippers get the wood chippers. But I think it's time we move into some title card shit. I think it's time that we move on to some main events. We an hour in. Johnny Somali been sentenced, boys. Johnny Somali been sentenced. Oh, you love to see it. Funny as fuck. Plays stupid games when the stupidest of prizes. I just wish it was worse for him. In my opinion, he got off too easy.
I know for a fact I'm not going to go to jail. Not one day in jail. I'm going to laugh my off when all these motherfuckers are saying I'm going for 30 years.
Should have been 30 years. Should have been 20 years. Again, dude got off too easy. Have you ever seen a more punchable face? Like, I'm not going to say that I agree with slavery, but when I look at him, I fucking get it. I understand.
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not even gonna do one day, bro. They're gonna give me a fine. They're gonna say, don't come back to Korea. You're the one who's gonna look so dumb when I don't get any jail time or anything. Bro, I'm gonna laugh like a villain.
Johnny Somali, aka Ramzi Khalid Ismail, has been sentenced to 6 months and 20 days.
Can't believe that's it, man. That's all. 6 months and 20 days? That's some bitch-made shit. That's some bitch-made shit, bro.
labor in Seoul, South Korea today. We're going to get that today on The Legal Mindset. We teach you to be your own judge. I'm Andrew Esquire, American attorney who's been tracking this from beginning to end. And today we're going to break out the exact reasons for the guilty plea, his imprisonment, his sentence, and what happens next. So let's get into what happened today in Seoul, South Korea. So first of all, to just get to my opening
Murph on for a two-banger. That's a low-quality slave. Yeah, homeboy wouldn't be in the house. Thank you for the two-banger.
Statements. Ramzi Khalid Ismail, aka Johnny Somali, was found guilty on all 8 charges. So there were 4 counts of business obstruction, 2 counts of...
That is true, Janek Spore. Hard labor. That is true. Hard labor. Breaking rocks. Breaking big rocks into little rocks. Big rocks into little rocks. And it's still too good for him.
2 counts of the deep fake distribution, guilty on all charges. He was sentenced to 6 months in prison with labor, an additional 20 days of detention, and 5 years of offender status, with his phones being permanently confiscated. But how did we get there? Well, we got there through a team effort. I started this in front of the same courtroom, and their photo here today is a photo, and once again, in front of that same courtroom today. But it was a team effort. My team, the Somali conviction team, worked very hard submitting evidence, submitting facts, and really getting into it with this process.
I aspire to be this level of petty, bro. My team, the Somali indictment team, or whatever the fuck he called it. Bro, I aspire to be this level of petty.
Where we wanted to have jail time instead of the normal process where foreigners are often just given a fine and let go, which we thought could be a very, very real possibility if there was not more attention on this. And you can see we had Korean media, which interviewed us, and many people from the team were there. You've got Professor Ulrich Nod, you've got Kangmin Lee, who's showed up off of X.
Yeah, Kangmin Lee a bitch, though. Kangmin Lee a bit of a bitch, let's be real.
You've got myself, Gabe, another individual who showed up who saw the coverage. You've got Atozi's editor. Everybody worked together. This was a huge team effort. There are a lot of people that aren't even pictured in this that worked together to get this done. And because of the coverage of this, and also the coverage in Korean media, as you see here, that actually led to a different result than normal. But let's get into the trial facts itself. So
don't y'all find it kind of fucked up, though? Don't y'all just a little bit fucked up that South Korea solved their Somali problem before we solved our Somali problem? Just saying.
I'll start.
Obi-Wan Kenobi for a 5-banger. Only 6 months? Whatever he did must not have been that bad. It's only manual labor if he complies. Well, first of all, manual labor in South Korea, from what I've heard, is not the same as manual labor here. But yeah, only 6 months is bullshit. Only 6 months is bullshit. That said, I appreciate the 5-banger, homie. Thank you so much. This is for you.
I know now that it could never work between us. Not because you're a rabbit, but because you're black.
Shout out. Thank you for the 5-banger. And agree, Vagabond. Kangmin Lee is on the same level as Melanie Mac.
Well, the trial started packed with observers. Now, the first time I came, there was hardly anybody in that courtroom about a year and a half ago. However, today, standing room only. People were standing, sitting on the floor, all there for Somali.
More people showed up to see this bitch get sentenced than showed up to his live streams. Ain't that a kick in the fucking nuts, bro?
They had to put up actually the red tape. They had to line people up. It was very, very much more chaotic than normal. Now, strict security was enforced. There was no phones or recording, as well as no reactions or expression. At one point, when someone smiled during the courtroom, the bailiff actually corrected them to, hey, no expressions, no, keep it serious, keep it somber. And the judge did remain the same throughout the trial. Now, the prosecutor did change in the spring from the older male prosecutor that was there before.
Y'all want to know how the quartering could save himself? Right now, this is how the quartering could save himself. Make a tweet that just says, at least I'm not Johnny Somali.
To a new female prosecutor, which was there to...
Gross. Females in power. Disgusting.
...day in this case. Now, what happened? Well, first, there was the guilty portion, because first they had to assess the guilt, because Ramsey had pled guilt on 6 of the charges, the business obstruction and the Minor Crimes Act, but still reasserted his non-guilty plea regarding the deepfakes. So the judge found Somali guilty on the deepfakes, as we predicted he would, because a reasonable person of the age and gender of the victims would experience shame at the deepfakes. The judge then went on to say, okay, you're guilty, now let's talk about sentencing. And he said, in his opinion, there were both mitigating and aggravating factors for the sentencing of Somali. So the mitigating factors that he explained in this case were for that victims Jungman and Hank Yu did not want Somali to be punished. And
fuck these victims. Fuck these victims. Not wanting this bitch-ass, low-tier fruit, like, inbred-looking motherfucker to not be punished. What do you want? Him to be sitting the fuck back here? Losers.
there has been a settlement with Jungman that they tried to get the charges dropped. So they weren't dropped, but the judge did say he did factor that in for mitigation. They also said that victim Bong Bong did not experience severe shame or embarrassment. And had she experienced more severe embarrassment, perhaps there would be a more harsh punishment.
El Murvat for a two-banger. Too soft. Somali should have been made an example. I completely agree. This goes two ways. On the one hand, I'm happy this bitch going to prison. I think it is fantastic that this inbred looking bitch going to prison. On the other hand, 6 months and 20 days ain't fucking enough, son. Ain't enough at all.
They also said, and this is very interesting, that the travel ban and the inability to return home were technical disadvantages for Somali.
Gord, you must have left the stream for a bit. I beat you to that joke already.
That was very curious to me, because if he had been allowed to leave and go home, he clearly would have not come back and not face any punishment, never gone to jail. He would have just not come back to Korea. However, he did bring up aggravating factors. The aggravating factors he brought up were that Somali repeatedly committed crimes primarily for YouTube revenue and broadcasted these with no regard for the victim. He also said that Somali showed clear disregard for Korean law. And this is something he understood from the files that we, myself and the Somali conviction team, submitted to them, showing that he didn't care about Korean law, he disrespected the judge, the prosecutor, and really the Korean system at large. He said that the Korean system is an absolute joke, and because of that, he wanted to show how much of a joke it was.
Shout out to President Yoon. F the judge. F the prosecutor. Y'all can suck.
Y'all wonder why people are racist? Y'all wonder why we got that fatigue, bro? This is exactly why. How can you, in good conscience, how could you not understand a racist? How could you not understand, what's his name? Richard something or another. White supremacist guy. You see people like that. He's not even black. Yeah, he is. Yes, he is.
My dick, bitch ass. Yeah, suck my dick on soft.
Now, he also did bring up the risk of repeat copycat crimes, and saying that because Johnny Somali is a type of streamer which can be copied and repeated, this is a risk, and they need to set a precedent to deter others.
Richard Spencer, that was his name, by the way. Richard Spencer. War Wizard for a two-banger. I'd take Johnny over Dark Side Cuckering. No. Wait, what do you mean you take Johnny over Dark Side Cuckering? No, look, what the quartering did is fucked up. And we've roasted the hell out of him for the last week. But him playing stupid games and winning stupid prizes by getting accounts banned and whatnot, that's bad. That's not making your entire living flying from country to country, breaking laws, making Americans look bad, making content creators look bad as a whole, by actively destroying and denigrating cultures. Yeah. He wasn't committing crimes in active, so he wasn't really a terrorist, because part of being a terrorist is, acts of illegal activities to force political change. He wasn't doing that. But I mean, tomato, potato.
streamers from coming in. Now, whether or not 6 months will actually deter people is up for debate. A lot of people.
No, the only separation is not denigrating cultures. The quartering did shit that breaks the rules of engagement for content creation, but he didn't do anything illegal. The quartering wasn't out there actually breaking laws. He was just breaking the rules of engagement, the unspoken rules, of being a content creator.
People, even myself included, think it's not severe enough to deter everybody, but perhaps it can be some sort of deterrent. But he did factor that in as an aggravating factor. So when he handed down the sentence, he explained very clearly it was 6 months in prison with labor. That will be in a specialized prison for labor, also in a prison for offenders, because he had 5 years of offender status, so he can be nowhere near women or children.
That's fucking funny. Dude basically got a restraining order against him from an entire fucking gender and age demographic. That's amazing. He broke YouTube's law. No, again, it's not a law. It's an unspoken, agreed upon rule.
And he also has to be away from certain types of locations as well. So he can't do all sorts of labor, but he will be laboring in prison. He also will have an additional 20 days of detention, and his phones are permanently confiscated. He will never get back that Galaxy or iPhone ever again. The judge also explained that there are several questions about flight risk and whether he would be immediately detained. They gave him the option to remain silent, but instead Johnny Somali decided to speak and decided to lie even more.
The fatigue, bro. The fatigue is here.
So when Somali spoke, the judge asked him if he was still a student. Somali lied. He said, yes, Arizona State University. We all know this is untrue. He hasn't been a student for quite a long time. The judge asked if there's any other reason why he should not be immediately detained. Somali said, I have family in my home country that I miss deeply, and I know I have to pay for my crimes, but I'd be grateful if you gave me a second chance because I think I can do better.
I wish we had a recording of this. I want to know the tone he said it. I want to know the face he was making. I want to know if he was lying through his teeth or if reality finally set in and he himself didn't believe that he would ever go to jail. He said he wouldn't serve 1 day in jail. I bet he was shitting himself, bro. I bet he was shitting himself.
Well, the judge kind of ignored this plea because it didn't actually answer the question of why he shouldn't be immediately detained. Of course, they're not going to let him go home. That's ridiculous. He's already been sentenced. The prosecutor stated, in fact, that he does pose a severe flight risk and should be detained immediately. Now, he was given another chance to speak to kind of respond to the prosecutor. Somali again lied and said, throughout the court proceedings from 2025 to now, I have refrained from doing anything to harass the public. So I feel this has taught me a vital lesson.
We know this is a lie, but it's not about whether we know it's a lie. I'm so glad his last name was Somali. He has the IQ of your average Somalian. He is on camera, on live streams, even during these proceedings, harassing the fucking public. How? Do we need a cull? A global culling? Who would you put in charge of it? Because I vote me. I vote me. Make me Supreme God Emperor. I promise you guys, I will cull the right people.
Of course, we know that's not true. We have the sexual harassment charges that were filed based on his activity during that period, and those are filed in the Eastern District. We also had several instances where he was harassing people in public, where he was insulting people, getting drunk. So we know that's not true. But the judge said, okay, really, that none of that is relevant.
No shit, D-Stock. But the funny thing is, if I used his real name, it wouldn't work for the Somalian joke. You're the moron. Chat, can we just start shaming D-Stock? D-Stock's a fucking loser. Just start shaming D-Stock.
We're going to find a significant flight risk and detain him immediately. So the judge then explained that there's 7 days for both Somali or the prosecution to appeal. This is very important because the prosecution can find that this was too light. They recommended 3 years and he only got 6 months. So the prosecution has a chance to go to the court and say, no, we need more time. We think this is not fair. Somali can also try to appeal this, but the thing is for Somali, where appeals really aren't going to work in his favor, is the average appeal takes about 6 months. So if Somali is angry about this, he has to appeal from jail. So while he'll be in jail, he'll be serving that time. By the time he would appeal it for saying it's too severe, well, his term will probably be up. He'll probably be at the end of his sentence where he's already served that prison labor. Now, the bailiff did escort Somali out after that, after they explained the chance for appeal, the 7 days for appeal. His possessions were taken. Somali seemed to be prepared to go to jail as he brought a full backpack with all of his things, and he was handcuffed immediately.
Why would he bring it back? There's no way they're going to let him have his things in jail. What would that matter? Unless he just wants to make sure that it's in lockup so that he doesn't lose it while he's gone. I guess that makes sense. That's still fucking dumb.
And taken to a side room where he'll be bussed over to the detention center, and they'll eventually decide which prison to send him to. After Somali left the room and we saw him be, taken off and handcuffed, all the observers left. Now, Korean media was waiting outside, and myself, others, Atozi, we were interviewed about how we felt about it, and we gave our true opinion, which is we are happy that he was proven wrong, but we think that he deserved more time there. They also asked us if we were talking as YouTubers or Americans or whatever, and I answered that we're talking as people interested in the truth, and we're interested.
I mean, sure, that's a nice little polite PR answer. Let's be real. Talking as Americans and as YouTubers. You are YouTubers who, this is your platform, this is where you make your money, this is where you have your audience, and the way that the platform and people on this platform are viewed as a whole will be taken into account by idiots like Johnny Somali. And then you're speaking as Americans because the way Americans are viewed, much the same thing. The way Americans are viewed will be based on the actions of dumb fuck inbred morons like Johnny Somali. This whole we're just interested in the truth, that's some gay shit. Say it for what the fuck it is.
In revealing the Korean court process and getting the truth out there, both to Korea, Americans, everybody, and making sure he serves the time that he should serve and he's punished appropriately. So here's my judgment. Somali was proven wrong when he said, I promise you I won't spend 1 day in jail.
I know for a fact I'm not going to go to jail. Not 1 day in jail.
I'm going to show you guys how far I can push the boundaries, and I'm going to show you that the Korean government is not going to do anything to me. The Korean legal system is not as strong as people think and perceive it to be.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Felt like that was warranted.
It makes me very, very happy that Somali was once again proven wrong on that. However, objectively, 6 months and 20 days is a light sentence. At least 2 years would have been appropriate.
And nicer than me. At least 2 years. Bro, maybe 2 years per crime, and he had 8 crimes. This motherfucker, I would have literally zero issue if he never got out. Because we're after 6 months and 20 days, assuming he serves the whole thing, and he goes wherever the hell he's going, nothing's going to change. He's just going to continue the same. Even if it's not on camera, even if it's not on YouTube, he's going to just continue the same dumbass spiral of making everybody else's life worse. This is why we can't have nice things. Fuck this guy. I could not have given a fuck less if he never got out of that prison. Dude, if you want a cultural exchange program, if you want to mend the bridges between North and South Korea, we need to start sending these people to North Korea. Be like, hey, you need more workers for your communist utopia? Here you go.
Particularly given the prosecution's recommendation of 3 years. That would have been a compromise where they didn't get the full 3 years, but they also didn't get a small amount. 6 months is too light. And because of that, we strongly encourage the prosecution to appeal. And we will be, along with the Somali conviction team, myself, encouraging the prosecutors to appeal. We also have the CHS, child sexual harassment charges, that are still floating out there in the Eastern District. We're going to be encouraging that district to bring those charges, because those charges can be brought while Somali is in jail.
Good. Because I bet, dude, I don't know how things work in South Korea. Asians get a little wishy-washy and weird when it comes to stuff that have to do with kids. But I hope they bring those, and I hope it is a much larger sentence.
And that could result in him being in Korea for an even longer time. But I want to know what you guys think about this final judgment, about 6 months, 20 days in jail, and the 5 years of offender status. Do you think that's long enough? Do you think he needs more? And what do you think about the entire process? Until next time, bye.
Yeah, that is. I'm glad this bitch is off the street. I'm glad this bitch is in prison. 6 months is way too light. There's the video. Make sure you give it a like. I will say there's one downside about this, though. I will say there's one downside about Johnny Somali going to prison. Can any of y'all take a guess what it is? Any of y'all gonna take a wild guess at what it is? Omega, that's funny. Johnny gonna leave prison with 3% Korean DNA. That's funny. What do you mean he'll get a deal? He has been prosecuted. Deals happen before prosecution, D-Stock. Bingo, bango, bongo, UF, Omega, Anthony Way. No more content for your boy. No more content for your boy because he's going to be in prison. Alrighty. It's time. This video is probably going to take us a while. That's why I was pretty light on the content leading up. Because this next video, probably going to take us a while. Resident Evil 4 is timeless. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a product of its time. Crowbcat made this video. It came out earlier last week. 2 days ago? Nah, it was longer ago than that. People were tagging me in this on Sunday. So it's been at least 4-ish days, 3 or 4 days. Either way, y'all know I fucking hate Resident Evil 4 Remake. I fucking hate this game. I was mediocre and lukewarm and middle of the road on it when it released. It is devolved, or evolved, depending on how you look at it, into a full-blown fucking hatred for this game. I cannot express in words how much I loathe Resident Evil 4 Remake. And apparently, Crowbcat's been getting a lot of hate for this on X. I say apparently. I've been watching it. I've been watching the hatred for this video from the Resident Evil tourists. From the people that think that Resident Evil 4 Remake is some masterpiece. It's a half-baked bullshit piece of work, dude. I fucking hate Resident Evil 4 Remake. Why? Watch my video on why. And you're going to hear why as this video goes on, I'm sure. So since a lot of people were tagging me in this, and since Homeboy uses my content in it, which is pretty nice, I'm listed somewhere in these credits here. That's why I was tagged in it. But we're going to watch it either way. 45 minutes. Guys, I'm going to be real. This reaction ain't going to be no 45 minutes. Resident Evil 4 is timeless. Resident Evil 4 Remake is a product of its time.
Most of the creators in Capcom feel that unless you start bringing in originality into the video games and don't keep doing rehashes, then the video game industry itself is going to hit a major crash eventually. People are going to lose interest in games if they keep churning out the same things over and over again. And we at Capcom, we want to keep making games.
There's our GOAT right there, baby. There's our GOAT. Shinji Mikami. The greatest video game director of all time. That bitch-made soy-ass piece of shit that made the Metal Gear games and Death Stranding. I don't even want to dignify saying his fucking name. Wishes he was Shinji Mikami.
That's what we live for. So in order to make sure there is an industry to support us making games, we have to act now. And one of the things we're doing is making original games.
Resident Evil 3, the remake, is just about out there in the wild, and it appears to be another great remake from Capcom. Capcom's really just hitting these remakes out of the park.
Tourist.
It's got everyone wondering what will be the next Resident Evil remake.
Yes, please. Thank you, Capcom.
Thank you, Capcom.
Thank you, Capcom.
Yes.
You hear the Spanish music, you see the forest.
Look at all these fucking consumers, bro. Look at all these fucking consumers. I hate them. They don't deserve video games.
You know, we're all shitting our pants.
Last of Us? Last of Us?
The multiplayer for Last of Us 2?
Obviously.
They couldn't even tell what it was from the Spanish music. I hate them. I hate this. Is gonna be a long reaction, boys. I hate them.
Obviously gonna be excited. Obviously gonna play it when it comes out.
We are eating well as Resident Evil fans.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Except in the back of the players' minds, in the back of the developers' minds, there's this quiet, unspoken truth, which is, yeah, but if we're being real here, this is just a cash-in. This is not a legitimate artistic effort.
Of these games that they've been remaking, this is probably one that doesn't need to really be remade.
When I first...
Correct! Because even when this game was announced, I was skeptical if I'm going to use the nice words. If I'm going to use the nice words, I was skeptical. This game was announced right as I got into YouTube with this channel. And you can go back, you can watch any and all the videos I did. You can watch the review, you can watch the lead up, you can watch me talking about it. I always said the same thing. Resident Evil 4 is a perfect game. I would not change a single detail at all when it comes to the original Resident Evil 4. How do you remake what is already perfection? Because the bare minimum needs to be a lateral move to still perfection. How do you improve on perfection? Well, it's literally impossible. That's why it is perfection. Fuck, I hate Capcom. Fuck, I hate fanboys. Runaway Bagamon with a 5-banger. I don't care if it remakes much. I prefer remasters of a game is to be updated. Agreed. Agreed. And even then, that comes with some caveats, because I've seen some remasters enact censorship and stuff like that.
First heard about remaking RE4, my first impression was that since the original is a masterpiece, a remake would be difficult, so I didn't want to do it.
4, it's like a sharp dagger. You see how the original, where it just has like a roughy, gritty edge to it, you can just see the difference when it comes to the creativity and originality.
The remake is soulless compared to this. It really is. It's forgettable, and it feels like they found the formula and they're just like, okay, now we could just...
It all started with this godforsaken game. It all started with this godforsaken game. They could have just given us Resident Evil 2 as a remake like they did the Resident Evil 1 remake. Fixed camera angles, better graphics, keeping the story intact, maybe adding some stuff or flipping a few things on its head to keep the returning players guessing like they did with the remake. Could have kept the canon in line instead of recreating a bunch of shit that didn't happen that now creates plot holes for previous games and games going forward. While Resident Evil 2 Remake on its own is okay, and I'll say that much, it's okay, it is a bastardization of the original. And it is the entire reason we got the Resident Evil 3 remake as probably the worst video game remake of all time. And then Resident Evil 4 remake as just the epitome of pissing on your legacy.
Remake anything we want. They're about to use that same formula to remake Code Veronica, RE5. They're just gonna do that shit until they've gotten as much as they can out of that engine.
Well, we could, we can make Resident Evil 4 remake. What's the problem? And I think once upon a time, instead of making
Resident Evil 4,
people made
Resident Evil 4.
Bro, that gravelly, trying too hard to be scary voice, Them's the fucking days, boys.
Once upon a time, they made things. For the first time, they made really...
Mr. X! Mr. X, I want to address you. I want to address your comment right now. Your comment says, now if Capcom could remake the Breath of Fire series, it would be great. Are you a fucking retard? Parents, mom, take too much Tylenol, drop you on your noggin? Why the fuck would you trust modern Capcom with a remake after seeing what they did to the Resident Evil games? Are you slow? Why on God's green earth do you trust any of these modern gaming companies with remakes? Square Enix bastardize motherfucking Final Fantasy VII. Capcom bastardizes Resident Evil. No. No more fucking remakes. We're done.
impressive things. Once upon a time.
I've worked on a number of Resident Evil titles in the past, and honestly, I think the series had been recycling the same patterns, the same gameplay each time. The creators were starting to get bored with it, and many moved to other projects. So I spoke to Mikami-san, the director, and we talked about reshaping the series.
Does this dude just not ooze cool? Just oozes cool. And he never lost it, bro. He never... Dude, play Hi-Fi Rush. Play Hi-Fi Rush. That game went under the fucking radar. Not enough people played it. It was considered a flop. Tango Gameworks shut down. Bro, Shinji Mikami is the fucking man. Look what they did to his goddamn legacy with this godforsaken piece of shit. Resident Evil 4 Remake. Go fuck yourself.
We talked about reshaping the series and winning back the fans, as well as winning over new fans who thought they would never play a Resident Evil game. So, in order to revitalize the series, we've given it...
You want to know the difference between Resident Evil fans then and Resident Evil fans now? You want to, because I was in the trenches, son. I was on the forums. This is before social media, right? You had to go to the Resident Evil forums. ResidentEvil.news.net. When Resident Evil 4 came out, you want to know what it did? It did bring in new fans. It absolutely did. Resident Evil 4 brought in new fans, just like Dragon Ball Z brought in new fans that had never seen Dragon Ball. And to be fair, a lot of those motherfuckers are insufferable, but that's neither here nor there. Resident Evil 4 brought in new fans. But you know what those new fans did that new fans nowadays don't fucking do? They went back and played the old fucking games. And they liked them. They got into Resident Evil 4 because it was a massive game. It was Game of the Year it fucking came out. It was a game. It was... People today don't realize what a game changer Resident Evil 4 was. It reshaped the entire third-person shooter genre the way Halo revolutionized first-person shooters. It is on that level. I'm not exaggerating because it's my favorite franchise. Look at games, look at third-person shooters before Resident Evil 4 and after Resident Evil 4. But old school fans that, like, you brought up with number 1 and onward, like your boy, now we were mixed. We were divided. There was some infighting amongst the community. But the new fans that came in with Resident Evil 4 actually appreciated the fucking game. They went back and played the originals. They appreciated those. That's the difference between old school fans and these new gen fucking tourists.
A complete makeover.
What's my opinion on the Doom franchise? Shut the fuck up, Eagle Lord. Are we talking about Doom right now? Fuck Doom. We're talking about goddamn Resident Evil. Dumbass.
For its time, it was the total game changer. They still make games copying what that game reinvented.
War Wizard for a 2-banger says still couldn't beat Batman though. Fuck you, War Wizard. Thank you for the 2-banger.
When the original came out, one of the biggest factors was how fresh the mechanics were. We knew from the start that in today's landscape, it wouldn't be possible to duplicate that. We never set that as a goal. Instead, our goal was to implement evolutions that have occurred since the original was released.
This rework has been simply titled Resident Evil 4.
And y'all know why it was simply titled Resident Evil 4? You want to know why it was titled Resident Evil 4? Because they're using it to replace the fucking originals. They don't want the originals to exist. They don't want you to think about, oh, our past stuff, that's not good. Fuck you. Erasing your fucking legacy like that? Pulling a goddamn George Lucas, but somehow worse?
As if to say that this is the definitive edition of the game. But there's the problem. The definitive edition is, by that definition, the one that defines a work as an influence, the one that people will think of when they think of its name.
And by the way, to those of you guys asking, yes, of course I watched X-Play. X-Play was a foundational part of my adolescence. I loved X-Play. One of the biggest fights me and my dad ever got in back in the day. And I don't even, this might be the first time me and my dad actually like yelled at each other, and yet I wasn't punished. Was who was hotter, Olivia Munn or Morgan Webb. I was Morgan Webb, he was Olivia Munn. And he could not understand, he could not rationalize how I could find Morgan Webb hotter than Olivia Munn. And to this day, I still say Morgan Webb was hotter than Olivia Munn.
Left for dead, yo. Booyah!
No, man. Resident Evil 4 takes it by a long shot.
Would anyone bother to remake this remake?
Is the action still there? Is the atmosphere and kind of like...
And there we go. Look at this fucking panel here. Now, I don't recognize any of these people. I don't know, the gal in the Leon jacket looks kind of familiar. But I see Susie Hunter. Susie Hunter, or Sphere Hunter, or what the fuck ever, has done more goddamn damage to Resident Evil than pretty much any other Resident Evil analyst or, you know, video essayist or whatever on this godforsaken platform. Fucking Sphere Hunter. War Wizard for a 2-banger. X-Play, not X-Videos. Yeah, I said X-Play.
The more goofy elements of Resident Evil 4 are still in there, and it's all in there.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
They just take the IP, the aesthetics, the branding of Resident Evil 4, and then they graft it on this lame Last of Us style ripoff with parries and stealth sections, and there we go. We did it. We remade the game.
Correct. And here's the dealio. This is why I didn't like The Last of Us. First of all, The Last of Us would not exist without Resident Evil 4. The Last of Us wouldn't exist without Resident Evil 4. And in terms of the story of The Last of Us, it's a good story. The first one. It's touching. It's great. It's a it's a really, really emotionally gripping father-daughter story. I mean, you know, adopted daughter, found family. You guys get my point. But here's why I don't like The Last of Us, and I didn't like The Last of Us from the get-go. Because it was marketed as a fucking horror game, like Resident Evil 4, and it's not a horror game. You got some horror moments, but The Last of Us isn't a fucking horror game. So to be a game that was so blatantly inspired by Resident Evil, and then have Resident Evil be so creatively bankrupt to just copy The Last of Us, I hate it. This is an absolutely valid criticism.
It's a flicker. Yo, it really is The Last of Us. That's wild.
It has all these different individual elements pulled from all these different sources. Then they're just kind of thrown into a blender. This is millennial game design. And that is your game.
Yep, sugar and spice and everything fucking gay. Elmer Robot for a 2-banger. Parrying ruined a generation of gaming. Agreed. I agree with this statement so fucking hard, Elmer Robot. First of all, shout out for the 2-banger. Yes, parrying ruined a generation of gaming. Absolutely agreed.
What is this? I mean, the chainsaw guy was the marquee villain of RE4. He's on the cover. You can't just trivialize the guy who's supposed to strike terror in your heart by Sekiro dinging his ass off you with a knife.
Putting that lifeline in place where it's like, oh, we know we can block the chainsaw. We know we can block it, so we're not scared of it anymore. It takes away the tension. Whereas in the...
You guys are not understanding the point, obviously. I love parrying games, though. Oh, I disagree. Clearly, y'all ain't thinking with your thinking parts. You didn't put on your thinking hats. Not saying parrying inherently is bad. Saying that it's so oversaturated in every goddamn modern bullshit millennial game that it has lost all meaning. Parrying has a place in gaming, just like all mechanics have a place in gaming, including QTEs. QTEs are fucking awesome. But I still wouldn't, even though I love QTEs, I wouldn't want them in every game. They work in Marvel Ultimate Alliance. They work in Resident Evil 4. They work in God of War. But I wouldn't want QTEs in every game. Parrying is in fucking everything now. And it's so stupid to have it in everything when it doesn't need to be in fucking everything.
You know you're going down when that chainsaw guy gets close. There's a sense of tension there.
Now, I know they were saying that Dr. Salvador was the scariest enemy, you know, chainsaw and all that. Fuck that. The Godadors here. The Godadors in the original Resident Evil 4, that was the enemy to fear, bro. That was the enemy to fear. And now they're turned into bitch-made losers, too. Because everyone in this game is a bitch-made loser. The Godadors are a bitch-made loser. Krauser's a bitch-made loser. Fucking Luis Serra is a bitch-made loser. Sadler, Leon. Somehow Ashley's worse. They somehow managed to make Ashley worse by trying to make her better. Is there anything besides the visual fidelity that this game fucking improved on? The Godadors, those are the blind enemies. That's what I'm talking about, UF Omega.
Come on, Capcom. Like, really? You ain't even gotta route your enemies no more. You don't need to do all that. All you gotta do is pop up LB to stop every single monster in the game.
Increase the durability of the knife, and then do it again.
So many knives.
I mean, they give you so many knives. It makes you wonder why even have durability if you're gonna have so many knives.
Oh, I have 2 more knives, you scrub. I didn't know I had so many knives.
In addition to that, the chainsaw guy in the original game,
he's got a name. His name is Dr. Salvador. Call him Dr. Goddamn Salvador.
it's quick, it's sudden. There's no fucking like, let me rev this chainsaw up, 10-second fucking little death scene animation. No, your head's chopped off, you're fucking dead. Boom, out of nowhere. That was...
No, they didn't make the game for game journos, Jada Warlock. Even there, you're wrong. They didn't make the game for game journos. They made it even worse. They made it for fucking non-gamer millennials and Gen Zers. And there are some game journos within that, but you don't make an entire game just for the fucking journos. Because even by the time Resident Evil 4 Remake came out, game journalism is more or less dead. People are watching YouTube. They made it for these people. They made it for these bitch-made loser players who want to watch a fucking movie instead of play a game. Exactly, Gamer Kev. They made it for the modern fucking audience.
Is the beauty of that. So they just don't understand. They don't get it.
They've managed to suck all the character out of the UI of this game. The menus...
That's not even a criticism I've ever really thought of. They're right, though. All the criticisms I have about this game, I've never even considered the UI. Even that!
In the original RE4 had way more character, dirty, rusty, reflecting the game's environment. Now the UI has this cold, clean, empty, minimalist look, which doesn't suit the game. And even judged on those terms, it really lacks a sense of style.
You no longer get to see some cool animations.
The files lack the photographic detail that made them feel personalized in the original.
The whole screen would transition into an engaging piece of art for us to absorb ourselves into.
Man, they used to make such good games, dude. We used to eat so fucking good. Like, from the introduction of 3D, from like the Nintendo 64 to about the PS3, Xbox 360 era, we did not know how good we had it, man. From fucking Spyro on the PS1, goddamn Crazy Taxi on the Dreamcast, BioShock, dude, BioShock, I was saying this on my 10K sub special stream a couple weeks ago. Probably one of the most hype, if not the most hype midnight release I ever went to, BioShock. The fuck happened, bro?
You'd go into a certain room, and before you even knew what was in that room, you'd have that safe room music.
Oh, there's no safe room music.
Ending a chapter used to have this unhinged, jittery text matching the crazy, macabre events unfolding, and cool blocks of writing on top of a bright, washed-out picture that made it look like some weird old case file being displayed on a projector.
They didn't get it. There's no character. No one's remembering that in 15 years.
forgettable, clinical, lack of any individuality. It's like a soulless corporate entity made this shit.
Correct. Because a soulless corporate entity did make this shit. Because Capcom is a soulless corporate entity. Can you even name a modern Capcom developer? I fucking can't. I can't name a single modern developer for Capcom. You used to be able to remember names like Shinji Mikami, Hideki Kamiya. In fact, even Hideki Kamiya is a bitch now. Maybe he was always a bitch and we just didn't know because we didn't really have social media. But even Hideki Kamiya is a goddamn bitch now. Shout out. How you doing, Vagabond? I don't know why I said how you doing. This is like your third super chat. But thank you for the 5-banger. Modern games like modern rappers. Copy each other's style instead of trying to be original and unique. You know what? Fucking facts. Absolute facts. And since you brought up rappers, I'll give you a black dude getting fucked in the ass. This is for you.
So here's the deal. Life doesn't always want to be your friend. Sometimes it'll feel like life wants to hurt you.
That was a downer.
But you can't just hide, because nobody likes a quitter.
Your ass don't hurt.
I'll go first. You gotta take chances.
This fire isn't gonna stop me!
They never said it was gonna be fun or easy.
Subscribe to New Black Street. Subscribe to Atreus. And yeah, I'll catch y'all next Saturday.
Shout out, Vagabond. Thanks for the 5-banger.
In this section didn't give me the feeling that someone took the time to design any of this. No aesthetics to it whatsoever. It is just realism. At least it's, you know, it's just realism. And this is when I also knew, yeah, this is like RE8, you know, like
It's like Resident Evil 8, exactly. And you want to know the bitch of the bunch? All Resident Evil 8 was a goddamn Temu version of Resident Evil 4. They took Resident Evil 4, they tried to recreate it with Resident Evil 8, which fucking sucked. And then with Resident Evil 4 Remake, they didn't even remake Resident Evil 4. They just slapped Resident Evil 4 on top of Resident Evil 8.
That's the first thing I thought of.
When you turn on a game, you see a bunch of stuff. Some of it you'll recognize. And then there are the things that make you go,
Megascans is one of the largest libraries of high-quality 3D assets. They're used in everything, from video games to movies, and there's over 14,000 assets.
It just feels way more generic. It feels like every other Resident Evil game, where 4 felt so distinctive.
Remember when devs did shit like this? Like bro, because this is just unique to Resident Evil 4. The fucking Sonic team for Sega back in 1997 or 1998 went to like Machu Picchu in South America and like Peru and shit and got all these images of what they wanted the aesthetics to be for what would become Sonic Adventure. Just these motherfuckers from Japan fly halfway across the goddamn globe like their forefathers on the boat. I mean, I know Japanese people didn't actually go to South America back in the old, but you know what I mean. Just to take goddamn pictures to inspire their Running Blue Rat game. Devs used to give a fuck!
Across the top of the Great Hall there.
Hey, Mr. Beast here. Today we're gonna buy every item in this store. Let's do it.
Resident Evil 4.
Okay, that's a good edit. That's a good fucking edit.
Or will soon be getting the full modern Capcom facelift.
What are we doing?
The modern Capcom facelift. Let me show you guys something. Let me show y'all a little something. You want to see what the modern facelift is? This is the modern fucking facelift. This is what Capcom does to they shit. Oh, the modern Capcom face. Bro, you went from Britney Spears to Keith fucking Richards. This is your modern fucking Capcom facelift. If you guys can't tell, I'm a little upsetty spaghetti. Elmer up for a 2-banger. AAA of 2000s is the AA and Indies of today. Crazy shift. You were not wrong. 10 for 10 on facts.
What are we doing? All these games are asset flips, dude. It's like literally the same thing.
The village in the original game had this really stark, empty, desolate ghost town feel to it that really was unnerving and eerie. Instead, what they went with the remake is that it's overgrown and cluttered.
It looks pretty linear. Like, when I mean linear, I mean super linear.
Resident Evil 4, the original, was a linear game that didn't feel linear. And that a lot of people have that criticism of Resident Evil 4, and they had that criticism when the original came out. There's no backtracking, there's no exploration. And I do think that is a fair criticism of the original Resident Evil 4 if you grew up playing 1, 2, 3, Code Veronica, 0, like I did. However, it's designed in such a way that while the overall narrative is a pretty linear path, it's still expansive enough to where you do a lot of exploration within these within the linear progression system. Resident Evil 4 Remake couldn't even get that right.
Despite the old one being linear, it still felt pretty open. And it still felt like you could go anywhere, despite you couldn't. It still looked...
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, bruh!
And felt like you could go anywhere.
It felt too boxed in and way too cluttered.
And that's kind of the go-to plan for the remake is whenever we want to make something scary, let's just make it cluttered.
That's not what linear means, D-Stock. That's not... Linear is in reference to level design. Don't add shit unless you got something to add, and I'm just gonna call you out for being retarded. You done so good. You hadn't said retarded shit, at least anything retarded enough for me to comment on, in like 30 minutes. And then you come in with that dumb shit.
Cluttered, dark, and bloody. That'll do the trick.
And they're shoving it down your throat. They're shoving it down your throat. Every freaking piece of this game is blood everywhere. Let's plaster blood everywhere.
What linear does and doesn't mean, D-Stock, isn't an opinion. People don't just have opinions on the definitions of words. You're just an idiot. You've got Somalian IQ syndrome.
In terms of the aesthetics and in terms of just overdoing it. In the original, you go into the village and you don't really know what the fuck's going on. There's one scene where, the lady's hung up by the pitchfork, but that's basically it until you get to the chainsaw guy.
And part of the mystery of this game is finding out what these new enemies are. I can't say that they are not zombies.
It looks like the people here carry out their lives like ordinary people. They even read books. Yeah.
The people in this house eat...
Reminded, guys. Reminded. Reading is gay. Don't read books. Reading is gay.
like normal humans.
Huh, they use toilets. Guess they're at least somewhat civilized. I mean, they are human, as far as we're aware, right?
In the process, you'll find out who these people are and why they're doing what they're doing.
There's a build-up to it, and there's a build-up to it in a way that makes sense. This is coming right out of the gate with stupid shit.
No fucking way.
I'm so tired of games doing this, bro. Constant having your character do constant commentary while you're fucking playing. I hate that shit. Unless it's a fucking cutscene, I want my pro tags silent. Talk in the cutscenes, by all means. You know what? We give Melanie Mac a lot of shit. We give Melanie Mac a lot of shit, and deservedly so. Melanie Mac's a fucking moron. But even a broken clock is right twice a day. I will never forget this tweet she made. She must have made this tweet years ago. But it was so brilliant. And I mean that unironically. This was a brilliant tweet. It is stuck in my head ever since. You won't believe that such brilliance came from that dumb slut. I miss the days when cutscenes felt like a reward. Is that not actual stroke of genius from a gal that seems like she had a stroke? I miss the days when cutscenes felt like a reward. That's when your fucking character should talk. That's when you should understand who your character is. That's when you should get a breadth of a scope of the story beyond what the world building, the level design is trying to teach you. And now we just have our characters spouting off stupid-ass Marvel one-liners while you're mowing down what should be horror enemies. Fuck, I hate this game. Well, she didn't say it, Darn Otaku, it was a tweet, but yes.
In the original, the reason why the chainsaw guy was scary because he looked more human. In this, it's just like fucking like dinosaur eyes. It looks stupid. It's fake.
It feels so Halloween-y. Sacrificial lambs.
There's something far more unnerving about the villagers' lack of acknowledgement in the original RE4.
This is the beginning of the game?
They're just shoving it right in your face. Oh, this is spooky, you know. Let's remind the gamer that this is spooky.
When trying out this new camera, there was a lot of trial and error, seeing how close to or how far from the character would work the best.
You cannot move and fire at the same time, nor...
And you shouldn't have been able to. Resident Evil lost the fucking plot, and this is coming from an apologist for 6. There are things about Resident Evil 6 that I do like. I'm quite a defender of 6. I'll never call it a good game. Definitely never call it a good Resident Evil game. But 6 does have more redeeming qualities than the internet wants to pretend it does. Resident Evil 6 is like the Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3 of gaming. It doesn't actually suck. Spider-Man 3 is the worst of the 3. But it's got plenty of great things about it. Resident Evil 6 is the same. It's certainly the worst of the original group of Resident Evil games. But it has far more redeeming qualities than people give it credit for. But the one thing I will die on the hill on, you never, and I mean never, should have integrated moving while shooting in Resident Evil. Never should have integrated moving while shooting in Resident Evil.
can you strafe from side to side as you can in a typical shooter. This dynamic has an exceptional way of heightening tension, since your foes love to try to surround you.
Whereas now with the remake and its generic third-person aiming, you're never wondering what's behind you. You know what's behind you. You can just start aiming at all directions.
You can reload mid-reposition while angling the camera to keep an eye on the enemy.
I'm constantly like rotating the camera and checking where I'm like, what's behind me.
You don't have that whole risk-reward system of having to manage what's creeping up behind you.
Spacing doesn't fucking matter anymore. Spacing being one of the key elements of what made Resident Evil 4 still a horror game. Yes, it was more action heavy in terms of the gunplay. But now you have this sense of panic because you can't move and shoot. You had to know your spacing.
Before, you were trapped in this cramped space with an unpredictable monster who would dip around all over the place chaotically. The camera system never quite allowing you to keep track of him at all times. Now the edges are sanded off and it's less intense, less memorable.
Plus, with a narrower view, there's more tension, and by being up close, it's easier to feel like you're right there in the game.
It is not the way it is because it's an old game and the designers didn't know any better.
Correct! And I'm tired of this fucking argument. People who don't know how video games were made back in the early and mid-2000s will always say this. Oh, Resident Evil 4 is dated. You can't move and shoot. You dumb bitch. We had moving and shooting in goddamn GoldenEye back on the fucking Nintendo 64. This wasn't a limitation of gaming in 2005, you dumb cunts. This was an intentional design choice.
It isn't outdated just because it isn't like every newer game.
カメラの画角、普通の TPS と今で言う TPS とも
Yes, we had it in Doom.
違う
But nowadays there's this assumption that adding features to make a game more in line with modern audiences' expectations automatically makes it better.
Now when he runs, he has this
Correct,
weird sort of
Razor
delay or inertia. He doesn't have precision in his movement. There's this heaviness, awkwardness to it where you're never quite fully in control of Leon's movement. And then on top of that, there's a lot of gun sway.
War Wizard for a two-banger. You know, I'm starting to think Leon doesn't like the remakes. War Wizard?
You and I are enemies now.
Thanks for the 2-banger, homie.
And there's a lot of imprecision with your aiming in terms of actually lining up and firing.
Wow, how did that hit the box, dude?
Excuse me?
Holding down while aiming for a few moments will increase the accuracy and chance of a critical hit.
Like, did you see that?
Sometimes shot will stagger, sometimes they don't.
Are you kidding me?
Drop the girl.
Alright, now this complaint is not just a Resident Evil 4 remake complaint. It's not even just a Resident Evil remakes complaint. This is something that I fucking hate modern horror games do in general. Razor Up, I'll get that in just a sec. Modern horror games, so many of them, they think that, oh, if we have the enemies be bullet sponges, if they don't stagger, if they have no ragdoll physics, then it's scarier. It's just annoying. It breaks immersion. Like, Resident Evil 4 maintained, the original, maintained being a scary game, or at least, you know, scary, like maybe for newcomers, whatnot, not if you're a well-seasoned horror vet like your boy here. Point is, regardless of the staggering, like, in fact, that added to it. The zombies stagger in the original games. Just having your enemies in horror games not react to being shot is just poor fucking design choice. It's one thing if it's like a boss character or something. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Have them be a bullet sponge. But your enemy NPCs should react in some way, shape, or form if they're being shot. Lack of ragdoll physics is so goddamn annoying. Razor off with a 2-banger. The remakes are Leon's favorites. Don't let him lie.
No offense, but it sounds like some fucking commie gobbledygook.
Fucking communist. Thank you for the 2-banger.
Dude, I kicked this guy and shot him in the head 4 times, and he's alive. What are you made of?
Furthermore, stuns come in the forms of so much fuckery in this game.
That hit me? No shot. Why is he so tanky?
Somebody can walk in a window, and if you're near that person when they climb in the window, you will get stunned.
Why can't I stun him jumping out the window?
The gameplay, it's not Resident Evil 4 gameplay. Like, I don't know what they were. Like, Resident Evil 6 is more akin to Resident Evil 4 than this, because it
True.
is more action arcade.
They knew the fundamentals of what makes a game feel good.
You can lure enemies to a door, push a dresser in front of it to block them, and then shoot through the door to buy yourself more time.
It's literally in the manual. It's in the hints section. You can shoot enemies through wooden doors.
Ashley, get in the room. Get in the room. Run. Where are you going?
In the originals, she's as easy to work with as AI companions come. She stays right behind Leon, and the camera even zooms out so that you don't lose sight of her.
Wait, follow.
Yeah, I get a lot of people don't like Ashley for her character and whatnot. You want to know one of the main complaints people say about Resident Evil 5? Is they don't like the AI. Now, mind you, I've never really had an issue with partner AI in Resident Evil 5. I've beaten that game both on co-op a million times, and so, me and Cindy played through that game 4 times, just us two last year. But I played through Resident Evil 5 God knows how many times solo. I've never had an issue with AI, so I don't know why people are always bitching and moaning about the AI. But I will say, Resident Evil 4, Ashley AI, never had an issue. Never. Excellently designed. You tell her to wait. You tell her to follow you. You have her hide in the little fucking barrels. She stays right next to you. It's great. I get people don't like fetch quests and whatnot, but let's be real. Or not fetch quests. What's it called when you have to guard somebody as you're moving through? As you're moving through a segment. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Point is, never had an issue with that with Ashley. She was excellent. Great AI design. Escort mission. Thank you. Escort mission. I can't believe I couldn't think of that terminology.
Alright, Ashley, wait here. No, Ashley, stay up here. With me. Oh my god, please don't. They're making me.
OG Ashley, remake Ashley, OG all the day. Dude, I am so fucking tired of classic Resident Evil 4 glazers being like, but at least Ashley's better than the remake. She's not fucking better than the remake. She is worse by every metric. Is she more annoying in the original? Yes. She's also like a fucking 21-year-old or 19-year-old spoiled rich kid college girl thrust into this situation. She should be fucking annoying. She's a terrified, practically child thrust into the world of bioterrorism. She absolutely should be annoying.
Take her through the fucking maze.
You can no longer...
She is not 16. She's in college. You're an idiot.
freeze her in place. Instead, you can only change the distance she follows you from.
Bro, how... Can you not run past? You're actually too slow.
You okay?
Yeah.
Because you have...
Whatever helps me sleep at night. Alrighty, well, let's just go ahead and prove you wrong in real time. How old is Ashley Graham in RE4 original? 20 years old, you stupid fuck. Jesus Christ, take a toaster bath.
So much less control over her, and there always tends to be a gap of some kind between you, she naturally gets into more trouble.
Ashley, don't walk in front of the shotgun.
And too bad none of these... Hey, Ashley, get your ass over here. Oh, God.
She artificially stuck to you like a magnet and could wait or hide away whenever you tell her to on a moment's notice, which is why whenever she gets hurt or gets captured in the original game, it's mainly your fault for not positioning her correctly.
Ashley, get back in the fucking locker. Ashley!
Oh, fuck.
I have not played this game since the 3 playthroughs I did when it released for my review. Like, it came out, I beat it 3 times over the course of like 5 days, and then I did my review. I almost want to go back and play it and see if I hate it even more. I want to go back and play and see if I hate it even fucking more. Yeah, so I played through it, you said I beat it 3 times. Yeah, I played through it once, just completely normal. I played through it a second time on stream. And then I played through it a third time to get all the additional footage I would need for my review.
Ashley!
Amazing AI, dude! Woo! But I'm not even... I didn't even shoot her! Hello?
This is one of the biggest crimes of the fucking remake. Bro, what they did to the villains in this game, specifically Sadler and Salazar, and Krauser, actually, and Krauser, took all the camp out, took the cheese out, took out the fucking radio banter back and forth. They don't even have Sadler and Leon interact and meet until the last, like, 20% of the game. So you've got no build-up from the protagonist versus antagonist side of things. How can they fumble the bag? Like, it is almost an art form in fumbling the bag. Resident Evil 3 as a remake is terrible because of, all the cut content, because of radically changing Jill's character. All those problems that people have with Resident Evil 3, I 100% agree with. Of the original trilogy, Resident Evil 3 is my favorite. So Resident Evil 3 Remake is my least favorite Resident Evil game out of all of them. Like, out of every Resident Evil game ever made, Resident Evil 3 is my most hated. But somehow, they fumbled the bag even worse in Resident Evil 4, because these villains actually had character to them. Yeah, in Resident Evil 3 Original, you've got like a little bit of character with Nikolai. That's really it. Because there aren't a whole lot of other antagonists. It's really just Nikolai. But Resident Evil 4, yeah, Krauser, Salazar, and Sadler. Yeah, Bertoldes Mendez is also there, but he's not around super often, so that's doesn't really matter. So they tripled down on fumbling the bag from Resident Evil 3.
Wait.
What the fuck was that about?
Are they behind me?
You're always wondering, wait, is something behind me? Is something behind me? Is something behind me?
Check them behind me.
It's the way the camera system creates that effect. And what's also beautiful about it is the art direction of the castle complements that. It is brightly lit. It is beautiful. It is ornate. And yet, something's...
Monster Man, they made all the remake speedrun games. The original Resident Evil from the very beginning have always been speedrun games. That's why you get rewards, even from the very first Resident Evil onward, for speedrunning and beating the game. That's a retarded comment.
Off. Something is wrong, but that wrongness is subtle and disturbing. So what did they do with the remake? They turned it into a generic horror show.
Blatant, like, fucking, like, oh yeah, this is spooky.
Fog does not equal scary. I don't know what's up with modern remakes always have to add fog, and their fog is like overdone.
Instead, they just add shadows and smoke and red light and blood and writing on the walls and, oh, isn't that so scary?
Is Resident Evil 4 Remake scarier than the original?
Of course. A little bit.
I think it's the opposite. In the original, Leon would make jokes only in cutscenes and comms calls. So all of the cheesiness was confined to intermittent cutscenes and comms calls.
And the cheesiness was... You can have horror, and you can have cheese. They can go together. The 80s are kind of proof purchase of this. In fact, this game, Resident Evil 4, really the Resident Evil series as a whole up until about 5, the cheese factor was part of it. Because of the era of horror they were trying to emulate and recapture. That's gone from the remake. Because the remake doesn't have cheese factor. It has jokes, but that's not the same. When Leon's doing one-liners and shit in the remake, it's not cheesy. It's done in a way that's like, you should take it seriously. That's so much fucking worse. The camp is part of the identity of Resident Evil.
Does Leon still say, and I quote, "I knew you'd be fine if you landed on your butt"?
We don't have him say something like that. Fuck these bitches. And people will really, anytime I make a fucking video, whether it be about modern video games or anime, talking about how the wokeification has taken root in Japan, say, oh no, Leon, it's just the localizers. It's just the localizers doing it. Japan's still base as fuck. Fuck you. Clearly the fuck not. The wokeification of Japan has happened just the same as it did here in America. These pansy-ass, ninny, squinty-eyed pricks are just as much of the soy feminist blue-haired losers we have here in the fucking West.
In the remake, the cutscenes and comms calls...
He doesn't say women when Ada jumps out the boat. Trust me, I know. He doesn't say this line right here.
Women.
That's a goddamn clip on my channel for when women in the chat get a little too lippy.
Are a lot more serious in tone. However, the remaining 95% of the game is punctuated by continuous quips and jokes from Leon while we were in the middle of combat.
Bill me for the repairs later. I am flattered. But I'm a one-lady type of guy. Sorry, you're not my type.
And if Leon had been saying those lines in cutscenes, it'd be fine. Those are very in-character lines for Leon. As in, something he would say. But that's not how he would say it. You know, he said, like, let's break it down.
From Leon while we were in the middle of combat.
Bill me for the repairs later. I am flattered. But I'm a one-lady type of guy.
He says it like a fucking tough guy. Leon doesn't talk like a fucking tough guy. He's more smarmy. He's more of a Han Solo type. He says quirky, funny shit more for his own amusement. And he says it in such a smug, arrogant way, as opposed to like a very Bruce Willis way like they're doing here.
Sorry, you're not my type. Watch where you're swinging those things. Guess your tap dancing days.
Yes, it's 80s, exactly. It's 80s action cheese instead of 80s horror cheese.
Here, big boy. You got worms too?
What? You got wormed too?
No food for you. Ah, the entertainment. I guess this is their idea of a warm welcome. Not bad, right? Hi there. You okay?
What can I say? Dogs like me.
Think you can swallow me whole, huh? You guys are really starting to become a giant pain in my ass. Wow, Ramon, you are really slacking on your pest control. That's your true power? Oh, I'd ask for a refund.
Even his voice is wrong. It's not just the delivery. His voice is wrong. Like, the juxtaposition between Chris and Leon is supposed... Leon's the small, more athletic, toned, jokey. He's like the Spider-Man to Chris Redfield's Captain America. You need a voice to go with that. You can't just have it sound like generic masculine tough guy. That's Chris's role. Leon needs to have a bit more of a higher pitched voice.
Present for you. Jesus. Cuddly bastard. Twisty son of a bitch.
My point is that these stupid voice lines undermine the atmosphere completely, and due to their frequency, make getting immersed in the horror practically impossible.
You're Ramon's lapdog. Frozen's a good look for you. Sorry, must have slipped. Eat this. Looks like it's gonna take more than that. So we're playing hide and seek, is that it?
Oh, there's a window. We can't go through the window? What the hell? But it's got tape on it.
I haven't seen any.
Did this broad just unironically basically make the yellow paint argument? There's yellow paint. I should be able to interact with it.
Yellow marked barrels yet. Oh, is that yellow jizz or is that just hay?
For our game designers, affordance is a great way to communicate to the player what they can interact with or where they can go. It's not a single color that's important. It's using consistent color and shapes in the context of the environment.
Bro, the GDC, the Game Development Conference, is basically the World Economic Forum for game devs. It is the Davos World Summit for these pussified modern day fucking game devs.
Get it. Cheer up, Crowbcat. You taking notes?
Instead, why don't we literally paint lines in the level that the players can follow, even though it looks absolutely absurd?
I don't know what like research and data they found from players, but clearly someone suggested to Capcom like they need more guidance. They get upset when they get lost and frustrated, and they have a tendency to not continue playing. And that's why Capcom has plastered this game with nothing but
the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Thanks for the yellow paint. Never would have thought to walk up here.
I've seen some dumb sections where it's like, why is the yellow paint there? Like, is the player that stupid?
Fight them off. Okay.
We are aiming to create a Resident Evil 4 that everyone can enjoy.
No. Call me a gatekeeper. Call me a gatekeeper. Call me a purist. Which, by the way, I prefer the term. If you're going to call me a gatekeeper or a purist, I'd prefer to be called an elitist. Because it's true. I don't want anything that everyone can enjoy, that everyone can look forward to. No, fuck most people. Fuck most... Look, here's the dealio. There is 77 of you watching live right now. Odds are, a good fucking portion of you guys are tourists. Now, if you're not, fair enough. But I bet a good portion of you are, just as we break down the fucking numbers. Resident Evil isn't for you. You got games that are for you, and you probably don't want me touching those games because they're not for me. But if you're a Resident Evil tourist, or a tourist to any franchise that I love, respectfully, go fuck yourself. I don't want my Resident Evil made for you. Either play the originals like a fucking adult, or go fuck yourself.
So please look forward to it. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Why didn't you show the laser, bro? Why didn't you show the laser? Why didn't they show the laser?
How do you look at the original game and say, oh, let's change this to a generic crosshair?
I always felt a laser sight was a more immersive reticle than putting a white dot in the middle of the screen. You can unlock laser sights later, but you can only equip them to certain guns.
You only get it on 2 weapons, fellas.
Razoroff, you've earned the clip of shame.
Women.
That's it? That's it?
Hey, this doesn't fit on the Red 9.
So the guy that told me the lasers in the game lied to me.
It's all in there.
That won't cover it, I'm afraid.
You have to do side quests to unlock the fucking laser? I mean, it's a Ubisoft game.
Hey, why not go through that area again and kill 3 rats?
Killing 3 rats? Seriously, guys? Kill 3 rats. Sell.
And you want to know what? This is one of the very few things I actually said was nice about the game. I was a fair critic when I reviewed this. And the thing is, because when you had the merchant quest in the original, there was only one in the entire game, and it was in like chapter 1 or chapter 2. So that's one of the few things that felt undercooked in the original. So like, all right, they capitalized on that. The quests themselves are kind of dumb, I agree. Kill 3 rats. But at least they tried. They tried to improve on something, I guess.
3 vipers. Kill another 3 rats. Shoot some more blue medallions.
And of course, the way it works, like with all remakes...
No, I don't hate rats, Anthony Way. I hate Jews. There's a difference.
...is that Capcom have taken the level design of Resident Evil 4 and stretched it out.
It's more open and explorable than before, but even if you mainline it, it doesn't feel as tight.
It feels like I'm just doing errands around the lake.
I feel like there needs to be a little more sense of urgency when it comes to that.
What's your sit rep?
President's daughter, Baby Eagle.
What is this now? Oh, dear Lord.
The pacing in the original game is incredible. It's one of the highlights of that experience. You can't fuck with that.
Many of these areas seem to be gated off, but can be accessed by solving small puzzles.
That's just going to make the extension of this game, you know, padded garbage.
Shit, they took my gear.
Hey, am I tripping? Where's all my stuff?
Pull the first switch, pull the second switch up top, drop down.
War Whisperer 2 Banker says, what's the difference between the two? That is the right question.
Go through the door, activate the next switch, go through the door, activate the next switch, go through the door, activate this switch.
I'm not gonna lie, this game is dragging.
You have those forced in-game cutscenes and Leon starts moving really fucking slow, or you gotta squeeze through this thing, or you gotta like move that thing like an RE2 remake.
This is not a load screen. You think this is a load screen?
You got it? Sorry. I'm counting on you.
Can we just go?
It's open.
I owe you one.
Oh my god.
Oh no. Is this like a fucking section? It is. Forced. Walk in chat. Load screen. I love you, Ashley section. Damn it. You can't skip it? You're gonna take out the container boss and you're...
But it's okay. They put it back in with Ada's DLC. Fuck you. And fuck anyone that bought that godforsaken Ada DLC. You paid an extra amount of money for something that was included in the original. Well, not the original, to be fair. It actually was not in the GameCube version. But the PS2 version onward. Ada's story, separate ways. But they're just going to cut that from the original. Put it in the remake. Charge you an extra fucking amount for it. and then pad the gameplay by giving Ada sections that they cut from Leon's campaign, like this, like the laser room scene. Fuck you, Capcom, you greedy fucking cunts!
Gonna put this shit in, dude?
That's not our policy. You have to order something from the lunch menu.
I don't want lunch. I want breakfast.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm really sorry.
It's one of my favorite parts of the entire game, having to rush through this small, cramped collection of cages while the clock is ticking.
It was a...
And when I'm doing speedruns of this game, the original, this is one of the only sections I dread. Because even after more than 20 years, holy shit, even after 21 years of playing this game, this section right here can still fuck up a speedrun like no other. Fuck up a no-death run like no other.
Fucking terrifying sequence, and that challenged your head a little bit because you had to figure out where to go within that maze. And in addition to that, he was attacking, and in addition to that, you were on a timer. So you had 3 things going at once, and that's why they cut it. It was too difficult.
Did I just hear that right? They cut it because it was too... This is the first time hearing of this. Did they really cut it because it was too difficult? Y'all motherfuckers don't hate modern Capcom enough. Like, you did... If that is the actual reason and not just that dude's assertion, you do not hate modern Capcom enough. You need to hate modern Capcom with the same fervorance as you do Hassan, Osama bin Laden, Epstein, Dog, Shocker, Fucker, Piker.
I'm thinking to myself, like, hey, did this part happen? And then it's like, it didn't happen. And I'm past it already. It seems like they've cut a lot out.
The stuff they've added doesn't begin to cover the worth of what we lost. You're creating a remake and it has less content than the original version that was almost 20 years old.
This is what I mean.
And that started with Resident Evil 3 Remake. Well, really, it started with Resident Evil 2 Remake with the removal of the A and B scenarios, but it got even worse with Resident Evil 3. They keep making more remakes. They keep cutting more content. They keep charging more money.
Dude, all they do is fuck
content. Begin to cover the worth of... I didn't even realize that was from my video. I did not even realize that was from my own video. Yep, this is my clip. This is back before I had this mic. I was still using the webcam mic. That's how old this video is, by the way. That's how old my Resident Evil 4 video is. I didn't even recognize my own voice. What we lost. You're creating a remake and it has less content than the original version that was almost 20 years old.
This is what I mean, dude. All they do is...
Huh. Thanks for pointing that out, chat. I would not have fucking noticed that was from my own fucking video.
is fucking remove shit. Why? It's a fucking remake, dude. Are you remaking the game? Or fucking what?
What?
They've used me multiple times? Really? Patrick Rock says, I find it hilarious because they've been using you multiple times. That's the first clip I noticed. That's because you guys in chat pointed out. If they used me multiple times for that, I have not noticed.
Come on, man. No rope?
There's a bunch of shit that is removed. And it's a continued tradition here with these RE Engine remakes.
For some reason, I do not see nobody talking about cut content in this game. To call out Resident Evil 3 Remake cut content and not call this game out for cut content?
To be fair, I do think it's worse than Resident Evil 3 Remake. Like, that's not an acceptance for it being a Resident Evil 4. But I do think Resident Evil 3 Remake somehow still manages to be worse about cut content.
Can't help you. I can't help you.
You can't talk to him? What?
I think the reason it's worse with Resident Evil 3 Remake than Resident Evil 4 Remake, Resident Evil 3 is a PS1 game. How the fuck do you make a PS4 game with less content than a PS1 game? I think that's what bothers me the most. El Mervot for a 2-banger. Remind me, Echoes of the Living got ya Resident Evil 3 OG options. So yeah, you gifted me Echoes of the Living, which, by the way, I don't know if you were watching the chat when I accepted it, so thank you. It was awesome. I did accept that. I gave the whole thanks on the chat, or on the stream. I truly appreciate it. I haven't gotten to play it yet, but yeah, I can't wait to play it. I'm absolutely begging for classic Resident Evil vibes for that game.
Like, if you want to talk about unrealistic, like,
thank you for the 2-banger.
The Salazar statue and how stupid that played out in the original, that doesn't make sense, right? And then you have this massive roller coaster underground. It is so unreal.
This section is so much worse than the remake. I loathe this section of the remake. Not because it's hard, because it goes on way too long. It's real fucking boring. Lewis shouldn't be alive, by the way. Them extending how long Lewis is alive is so stupid.
Realistic, it's not even fun. Like, it actually just takes you out of the experience because it's like they want to try this grounded approach,
which feels like an anticlimax. Increasingly a scripted, Uncharted-style Sony set piece rather than an engaging death trap that you have to use real ammo and reflexes to ward off with a horde of chainsaws and ganados dropping directly into your cart.
When they approached Capcom to release the original trilogy on PC, Capcom literally met them with, why would you want the old games when we have the superior remakes? And I'm just...
I did a video on this exact subject. Or maybe I covered it on stream, I don't remember. But it broke me. If I had any modicum of hope left in Capcom, this is what shattered it. This is what shattered any remaining glimmer of trust in them that I may have left.
It's like, huh?
They didn't do the Resident Evil 4. Can we please stop hiding the classic Resident Evil title call behind...
I have never played Resident Evil 4 Remake without using the original soundtrack. I don't even know what the modern soundtrack and modern sound effects and whatnot in the game sound like, because in all 3 playthroughs I did of it, I had the original stuff on. Yeah, my god. Spyro Reignited Trilogy, man. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. One of the gold standards for how to do a remake. Minus one massive issue I have, but it doesn't matter. This isn't a video about Spyro. They give you the option in-game, base fucking purchase, to just switch between the audio, the reignited audio, or the original. Crash Bandicoot as well, yeah. I've never played the Spyro Reignited trilogy with the reignited stuff on either. I don't know how it sounds. I don't care how it sounds. I want the original. Now, I do like that it gives you an option. I won't ever be upset spaghetti about more options as long as they're options that make sense. I've never played the Spyro Reignited trilogy with the reignited sound design on. I always go with the original PS1.
The OG soundtrack swap.
So that's DLC though?
Look at the Legacy of Kain remasters. I never played the original Legacy of Kain, so I can't. I've never played the remasters, so I have no comparison.
Extra. It's all in there.
A little while after the game was released, new DLC was added into the game in the form of purchasable, exclusive upgrade tickets for your weapons in the shop.
Yeah. And I never bought a single one of those because that is, again, some skeezy, greedy, cunty shit from Capcom.
Have a ticket, do ya? Nice.
All the decent attaché cases that are actually worth jack shit are locked behind the deluxe edition DLC that I didn't buy.
Unlocks additional treasures.
I can't even be mad at Capcom for this one. I mean, okay, I can. But in my anecdotal experience, I can't. I wanted that Leon statue, man. The physical Ultimate Deluxe Edition Resident Evil 4, like $250 fucking. I pre-ordered that shit expeditiously. I pre-ordered that shit the day it went up for pre-order at GameStop. A week before the game drops, GameStop calls me and says, hey, we've canceled all deluxe physical editions for this game company-wide. I flipped my shit. I actually could be wrong. I remember going full Karen on the GameStop employee. That was on me. Shouldn't have done that. Not his fault. He's not the fucking CEO. He's not Capcom. I went full Karen on that motherfucker.
That cannot be found with the various treasure maps obtainable in the game. Yo, it seems a little
OP.
Yeah.
Way to win.
It does point them out to you, but
You didn't prepay? No, I did. I had the full $250 paid off. They gave, like, GameStop gave it back to me in credit. They're like, hey, here's your $250 back. You can use it for whatever. But the fact of the matter is, I went in 2 years before the game came out, or a year and a half, whenever the fuck it was, gave these bitches $250 for this Ultimate Deluxe Edition, mainly because I wanted that nice Leon statue. And a week before the game comes out, they cancel all physical pre-orders.
also just creates new ones that didn't exist before that. That's the pay-to-win treasure. This one right here. Sapphire, boom. That's an extra 4K that I wouldn't normally have. Like, that's so lame.
And actually, I remember what I spent the credit on, or at least part of it, because Razor says I wouldn't want to take credit, give me my money back. Y'all want to know what I spent the credit on? You want to know what my dumbass spent the credit on? Pre-orders for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Pre-orders for fucking Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. You just can't win, baby. You just can't. Dude, the chat went from like every now and again messages to just spamming like oops and I'm sorries. Bro, it's rough out here in them gamer streets, boys.
The Mercenaries mode, a staple of the Resident Evil franchise, was also not included in the game at launch. We had to wait later for an update. When it finally did come out, it was unfinished, as Ada and Wesker were nowhere to be found, and there was one less stage.
Waterworld was a huge...
I didn't even know this. I didn't even know this about this fucking game. I never played Mercenaries for the remake of 4, because I just didn't fucking care by that point.
An elaborate stage, but the docks is just a small square. And this stage is also ripped from the story where Leon has his final battle with Sadler.
So much for no cut content.
I think my favorite thing in this whole fucking game is those bald dudes in the castle that like kidnap Ashley and go like
Bro, this is... I don't use this word often because I find this word honestly really fucking gay. But peak. That is peak sound design, bro. That is peak sound design.
They took those guys out, dude.
That's a part of the mood, the vibe, the atmosphere. You never not hear the fucking voices.
UF Omega member for 11 months, shout out, says, not gonna lie, I would have kept that mission yourself. Straight to the afterlife. I didn't know any better. I didn't know any better, okay? Me and my friends like playing Pokemon together. We all had Switches, because I didn't get my Switch. I got my Switch way late in the game. I had friends who had Switches, so I would just play theirs. I didn't get my Switch till after Sword and Shield. So Scarlet and Violet was like the first new Pokemon game since I owned a Switch. I didn't know any better.
Notice that there's no interaction or any talk between the villagers.
I had not bought a Pokemon game since Diamond and Pearl. Mainline game, that is. Mainline game. No, sorry. Not true. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire was the last time I bought a Pokemon game. Until Scarlet and Violet. Razor off, member for 1 month, shout out. Oh hey, I friggin' found it. I'm glad you found it. Yeah, I got Sword. I got Sword, I just got it way later.
Villagers?
You gotta be kidding me.
Gal Carrymon says the only Pokemon game was Black and White. I love Pokemon White. I hate Pokemon Black.
There's no vibe here. There's no atmosphere. You're getting nothing except gibberish now.
A big part of that game's charm is what the enemies say. The voice lines.
¡Por allí! ¡No dejes que se escape! Vayan por detrás. Who are these people? ¡Bloqueale el paso! What are they planning? They're gonna be... Chainsaw.
Vagabond, you are so incredibly wrong. It's not even funny. Normally, you've got some of the best opinions here. But Sapphire, Ruby, and Emerald, Gen 3, dog walks Gen 2. Dog walks. Not even funny.
Shit. Te voy a matar.
Te voy a matar. This game is so sick, dude.
Anthony, were you not paying fucking attention when I said this is a 45-minute video and our reaction is going to be much longer? That sounds like a you problem.
Leon?
Just stay close.
Is there a single go hello in this entire section?
It's still there. They still have the same quotes, but it seemed less energetic.
Un forastero. Ahí está. Agarrarlo. Muerte.
Where's the energy in the performances? I mean, they're shouting in the original.
Un forastero. Ahí está. Agárrenlo. Ahí está. Mátalo. Ahí están. Matando.
I didn't even notice that when I played through it, dude. I won't lie. There's so much dog shit about this game. I didn't even notice how pussified the voice acting was between the two. I loved it. You know what? This might be my favorite video I've seen on YouTube in like 2, 3, 4, God knows how many months. Sorry, Hypno. I know I like your videos and shit, but because this video is doing something I didn't know possible. It is giving me new things to hate about Resident Evil 4 Remake. Things I did not know were hateable about this piece of shit that I already hated. It is giving me new shit to hate. It's fucking fueling me.
Not getting the delivery on these performances anymore.
Welcome, stranger. Obey. Obey the voice of our Lord.
The blood has accepted the gift. These characters sound like a parody of their former self.
The graveliness of it sounds like a put-on, like someone doing an impression.
Long time no see.
I think I did comment on Krauser's voice acting, to be fair. I commented on the bosses, just not the NPCs, like, not just the mobs, the hordes.
Rookie. The game. It is me, Triple H. I'm here to fuck you up. Oh, rookie. Rookie.
I don't think she does that bad of a job. I mean, she doesn't do that bad of a job. She's cool.
Don't worry, Leon. First time through.
She sounds awful, dude.
Don't keep me
Wow.
Pull yourself together, Luis.
I would like to remind you guys, or maybe inform you if you didn't know, this voice actress for Ada, the one known for being fucking awful at her job. You guys know why she was hired? Yeah, for those of you guys that do know, don't answer. For those of you guys that don't know, I want you to take a guess as to why this specific actress was hired to play Ada. I'll wait for a moment. God damn it, Mervot. Thank you. You removed it. Good. Yeah, Gail Cameron says, I know why. Dat Tarno Otaku, raised Rob, different lips. Yep, those of you saying DEI. Yep, correct. They hired her because she was Asian. That's it. They hired her because she was Asian. Well, the character is Asian, so we need to hire an Asian voice actress. The white girl did better. I mean, what a shock. The white person did better. But to be fair, if there's one race that's usually pretty good at doing shit on the same level as white people, it is the Asians. Jews are pretty good at it too, considering like they run the world and shit, so they gotta be pretty talented. But you guys get my point. UFO maybe with a 5-banger. I lied earlier. Said I skipped this game. I played 60 hours, actually. I was so unimpressed, I don't even remember playing it. Here's my admission. Oh, that's rough, buddy. That's rough. This is for you.
Now excuse me while I harass someone for having pronouns in their bio.
Thanks for the 5-banger, homie.
Voice.
Make more. You know how, just do it.
I don't know what they were thinking.
Sometimes some actors totally like fuck up their auditions, but if I feel the vibe is right and I can work with them, I'll go for that one rather than someone who did a perfect read, but I can feel like he's an asshole or she's an asshole.
Capcom keeps going the cheapest route possible for the English voiceover. And you might be wondering, well, how do you know this? It's because the old voice actress of Claire Redfield, Allison Court, she actually did an interview with a YouTube channel called Residents of Evil, where she talked about this whole process.
And you guys want to know the bitch of a bunch about Allison Court? This one's real fucked up. At the time of her recasting, she was the only voice actor in the entire franchise that had voiced her character from the beginning. Leon switched voice actors between 2 and 4. Jill changed voice actors between the original Resident Evil 1 and the remake. Same with Chris, same with Barry. Every single actor or actress had been recast except Allison Court until Resident Evil, I think Revelations 2 rolled around. And they finally decided to recast her. I mean, talk about a legacy. They fucked her. She even, if I recall, she even came back for the CGI movies, and she was voicing Claire Redfield in like Degeneration. Capcom fucked this gal.
Were you already in the union back there? And when did the union come about?
I was union. I've always been union.
You always, since the very beginning.
So all of these fans who are like, well, it was your fault for joining a union and demanding more money. It's like, guys, get a grip.
Mr. Kennedy, Mr. Kennedy. This George Washington looking fuck is not cool. He doesn't give me this fucking awesome vibe like it in the original, where he was like, you know, he has that little laugh before you meet him and it marinates.
Leon doesn't even meet Sadler until near the end of the game, and he only meets with Salazar 3 times before the boss fight with him. This causes Leon, Salazar, and Sadler all to suffer as characters because Leon isn't in communications with them throughout the game. That time I knew it was me. That time I knew it was me, and I am so correct. I've never been more correct. Unless I'm complaining about races that aren't white people. Then I'm equally as correct.
Beaten? I almost thought that something was missing.
And that's the entire game. Like, these villains don't feel like villains and shit.
You'll face severe consequences.
I have absolute control. In the original, whenever he had a monologue, I was like, dude, I love this guy so much, but I can't wait to kill him type of.
That's the correct vibe. He's a fucking comic book villain. That's the point. He is supposed to be so over the top, you love him. But you want to put a fucking bullet between his eyes.
Thing.
The Los Illuminados jack Leon's comms, and throughout the game, taunt him, make life generally difficult for him, and inject much-needed character moments into the game, and expand on all 3 of these characters further.
Oh,
you know what? I'm actually really glad that within this video, the things that he's harping on the most, or that he's using my content the most for, is when I'm talking about the characters. Because I do think that that is the most important thing about these games that the remakes get wrong. We can bitch about the change in the level design. We can bitch about the way they've altered the horror, the gameplay. But the most disrespect that these remakes have done across, not even the remakes, because this actually includes the modern sequels as well, specifically 8 and 9, because Chris in 8 and Leon in 9. The fundamental just destruction and rewriting of these legacy characters. Because Resident Evil is my favorite franchise, I'm a bit biased, it's worse than Marvel to me. The changes and alterations to these characters that had specific arcs, specific personalities. That is the worst part of anything to do with modern Resident Evil. So if he's going to keep using my commentary, which I'm so fucking humbled he did, I'm glad it's in the parts where I'm talking about character work.
You're breaking up.
Thank you to the dude who made this video. Appreciate you, Crowbcat.
Is Salazar about to hijack it?
Damn it. So much for that.
Maybe just jamming it. Okay, no hijack yet.
All you get is 50 seconds of Salazar talking through the castle's intercom, and that's it.
Stage is set for the final
All of it just reminds me of RE8 again. I'm sure you're getting tired of RE8, but it's true.
Oh, damn you.
One common issue throughout the remake with bosses was the lack of seeing the boss transformations. Something that add to that shit just got real factor gets stripped away.
It just cuts into a cutscene and then you just see the reveal. Even though in the original, you can see the transformation.
The problem is in a remake is that every transformation is hidden from the player or shown way too close.
D-Stock, that is the stupidest argument you can make. I don't want to spend full price plus tip for 9 hours of fun. That is... Resident Evil games have always been short. Game length is irrelevant. Ever since Resident Evil 1, these games have been short, and you've always paid full price for them. So, there's plenty of criticisms to be had about these games. I've been doing it for the last hour and a half, give or take. But that is not one of them. I can speed run and beat Resident Evil 4, the original, in under 3 hours. I can do a knife-only speed run on the hardest difficulty of Resident Evil 1 in, like, I think 2 hours and 53 minutes is my most recent one. Exactly, Abdulo. Resident Evil is meant to be replayed. Exactly. The whole point is that they are inherently short games. There are extra modes on real games in the original. First of all, not all of them. No, that didn't really start happening until Resident Evil 3. And there's extra modes in this as well. So again, your argument falls apart.
Or cut up in the screen so you can't see it. In the original, you absolutely will see the transformations, and it has a horror feeling into it.
Sadler getting the bullets out of him in Resident Evil 4 OG actually presented with a bit more intimidation, as there was a sense of dread instilled by not knowing what he was doing. There is nothing like that here.
The cinematography alone in the original game is just like light years ahead of this game, but no one cares. No one cares about where the camera's placed. No one cares about the performances. No one cares about anything.
Twisted Jack, yes. Old RE2 had a special mode. It had Tofu mode. I'm talking about Mercenary specifically. Mercenary didn't come about until Resident Evil 3, and it was a very different type of Mercenaries mode than we had from 4 onward.
We spent a lot of time and effort in making the total finished product, especially...
And Sevi, I did make fun of you the entire time. But it was from a good place. It was from a good place.
The cutscenes, where new enemies are introduced, and that really comes out in the camera work.
No. He just comes out of the door? Where's the build-up?
And I'm not saying this is literal shit, but it's certainly, in my opinion.
I am. Well, I'm not saying it's literal shit because people use the word literally wrong and that really annoys me. But it is figurative shit.
It's not a fucking 10 out of 10.
That night came the honeymoon.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is one of the best games I've played in my life.
Capcom has made essentially
Die.
A perfect video game. I think it's one of the best games ever.
Resident Evil 4 Remake might be the best video game remake ever made.
You look like Vin Diesel, so even if you had a good opinion, die.
I think this is just how you perfect a remake. This is how you remake a game.
This may very well be one of the best games Capcom has ever made.
How many times do you think I would have to say that until this stream gets fucking taken down?
It might very well be the most perfect horror action game I ever played.
Resident Evil 4 Remake is a new bar. delivering not only a fantastic remake, but one of the best survival horror games ever, one of the best third-person action games ever, and one of the best video games ever, full stop.
This is
D-Stock says, Leon, don't you believe you deserve mercenary mode in Resident Evil 4 Remake? What I believe you're doing is either intentionally or unintentionally. You're being obtuse intentionally and twisting something I did not say into something you want me to have said, or you're just so fucking retarded you cannot take the words I said at face value and try and understand the point that I was making.
the third highest Resident Evil score of all time. This right now is a 93 based off 90 critical.
And fun fact, D-Stock, there's a reason that I'm streaming and not you. I don't care about your opinion.
Reviews.
Capcom gets a lot of praise for their remakes, but still not enough.
This remake, I think, is 20 times better than the original.
I want this guy to have a heart attack on camera. 20 times better than the original. I want him to have a heart attack on camera.
It's 100 times better. I'll never touch the original again.
This game...
That is the type of piggy, slop-eating consumer that Capcom beats their tiny Asian meat to.
Is dang near perfect.
Rebuilt, refined, and realized to the full limits of its enormous potential.
Final score, 10 out of 10.
They remade a game, and they fucking honored it.
By the way, guys, we can blame game journalists, right? We can blame game journalists. We can even blame modern devs. But the reason games have the reason games in the position they're in is because of loser ass gamers like this that keep buying this shit. It's actually all the gamers' fault.
They took RE4, they respected everything about it, and it's just as good or better, in my opinion. And yeah, the Soul versus Soulless can eat my ass out with a spoon. How about Dime Apples?
Crowbcat doctored the audio levels of the RE4 remake! I knew something was off when I watched this video.
And he did turn down the ambient sound. He did factually do that.
Turn the volume up, pendejo. Should I do that in-game? Audio. Oh, it's already maximum. All right, I agree with you. So I'm going to turn it up. I mean, it's already... I'll just put it on 100.
How far could he have gone? Give me also 1 second. I'm going to pause. I want to turn up the audio slightly. It feels... Oh, I can't.
You should just boost... just put the master volume at the highest right now, because people are still saying it's a little quiet, but it got better.
It is.
When we increase
It's all the way.
Oh, it's already... Oh, okay, great.
There's sound effects.
So, okay. Yeah, you could put everything up, I guess.
If game volume needs to be turned up, let me know. It might be a little low compared to Fatal Frame. Let me look in the game menu, actually. That may be better. Is everything jacked? Yeah, it is.
Is the game audio low? Game audio's low? Is it? I saw one person write it, so I want to see if the rest of the chat.
We've been adjusting it.
What about the audio? Some people are saying it sounds good. Some people are saying it's low. Slightly low. Volume's a little low. Well, it's all the way up.
How's the volume? I feel like the...
I'll be real. This is something I never noticed about the game. Being deaf in one ear kind of makes something like this a little irrelevant.
Game's a little quiet.
Audio's kind of quiet.
Let's go to audio. Okay, game volume too low. Got it.
It's a bit quiet. Game's a little low. Make it a little louder.
I upped the game volume by 5 decibels. Let me know if I need to do more.
The game audio is maxed out. I can't turn it up any higher.
Why does this dude have the Quarterings old background? Is this the Quarterings bull? Hold on. Look at that background right there. That is the Quarterings old background. I'm pretty sure we're watching the Quarterings bull stream this.
I could check in-game. Yeah, let me see if I can raise up the volume. Audio. Nope. Okay, so I have it as loud as it can be.
It's just quiet, guys. Like I even had to raise up my goddamn TV, and it's still fucking quiet.
Audio's too quiet.
This game is actually quite quiet.
wind is down here. But then when there's the gunshot, that's right up at the top.
All over social media, I just saw post after post after post.
The comment section under this video is pretty ugly.
Yeah, Homeboy got roasted for this video. And it's one of the best Resident Evil 4 remake takedown videos. It's probably the gold standard for Resident Evil 4 remake takedown videos.
Put it lightly.
Resident Evil 4 remake is a masterpiece. You are worsening the gaming culture.
He changed the title of the video. He has no integrity.
I'm disappointed in Crowbcat. He could have gone after the other shitty buggy games everyone else already covered. But he instead dared to cover the peakiest peak that is Resident Evil 4 Remake.
God, you are just the most unlikable, angry old man I've ever seen.
You're sitting here daydreaming about your old-ass PS2 game while being angry about something that's almost universally loved.
A lot of people really like remakes, not
because they're fat, piggy, consumer, slop-eating losers who don't deserve human rights.
They're that interested in the artistic discussion of it all, but because it becomes a social event, a social experience.
It really does feel like people really are putting...
That's right, Galcarimon. Members, I want you to spam the tourist emoji. Exactly.
Capcom, specifically, on a pedestal, right? They really are pretending these Resident Evil remakes are some of the best games ever made.
And, you know, the truth of the matter is that a lot of people haven't played the original. Unless you're a boomer.
A lot of people haven't played the original. I would like to show you guys something real quick. All ports of Resident Evil 4. I swear to Christ, I'm going to have to type in 2005. Alright, let's just click images real quick. No, that's a bunch of Resident Evil games. And this isn't even all of them, by the way. GameCube, PS2, I think that might just be the PAL version. Even so, Wii, PS4, Xbox 360, Switch is the word I'm thinking of. Mobile is... Dude, Resident Evil 4 had a goddamn iPhone port. It had like a port to some obscure Brazil-only console that was like a stream console or something. Resident Evil 4... One of the most true memes I'd ever seen in my life, one of the most hilariously accurate memes, was Jesse and James from Pokemon. It was the prepare for double, make it trouble. Prepare for trouble, make it double. But it was Skyrim and Resident Evil 4 pasted over their faces. Because Skyrim and Resident Evil 4 are the most ported games of all fucking time. Like, if we ever get the Futurama future where we have suicide booths, you will be able to play Resident Evil 4 in the suicide booth before you die. Most people haven't played the original game. Retards!
And, you know, the truth of the matter is that a lot of people haven't played the original. Unless you're a boomer. That's just the reality of the situation. Most people haven't played the original, and they're not going to go back to it.
I haven't played.
You can get Resident Evil 4 on every single PlayStation console from the 2 onwards. I'm pretty sure every single Xbox console from the 360 onwards. Every single Nintendo console from the GameCube onwards. Maybe not Wii U. Not sure. Like, what are you talking about, dude?
I never played the original.
I never played the original. I didn't play the original.
It's that time. It's time to lower this one 6 feet under and say, well, it is what it is.
From now on, when I say Resident Evil 4, now I have to say Resident Evil 4, the original, released on the GameCube.
It was cool, but forgettable.
Game of the year.
And the
I want y'all to look at this lineup. This is Game of the Year, 2005. Well, it was probably aired in 2006, but from Game 2005. Call of Duty 2, God of War, World of Warcraft, Resident Evil 4, and the original Fear. Look at what a God tier lineup this is. To be fair, Call of Duty 3 is actually better than Call of Duty 2. But anyway, this is a God tier lineup of games. And guess what fucking won Game of the Year?
Winner is Resident Evil 4.
Accepting on behalf of Resident Evil 4 is producer Hiroyuki Kobayashi.
And this doesn't even do it justice. Resident Evil 4 also won Game with Best Graphics. It won Game with Best Story. I'm pretty sure it won Sound Design. Resident Evil 4 swept multiple awards.
That's what we live for. We have to act now, and one of the things we're doing is making original games.
I didn't watch it live. We DVR'd it, and I watched it with my grandmother afterwards. Savvy with the heavies for a 10-banger. Leon is a gay boomer confirmed.
Women.
Holy shit, I'm gonna come.
Fuck you, Sevy. Can I get a fuck you, Sevy, from everybody in chat? Excellent. Excellent fucking video. I don't know if we're going to sit here and do the credits. That would seem like it would take a long time. Although I'm sure I'm in these, so shout out for putting me in these. Again, thank you very much. It is an absolute honor. Yeah. Guys, definitely like this video. Definitely like the video. Drop Homeboy a sub. What a fantastic video. I'm always looking for things to reignite my fucking hatred of modern day Resident Evil. Like, I've been a Star Wars fan my whole life. I've been a Spider-Man fan my whole life. Been a Dragon Ball fan my whole life. Been a Sonic fan my whole life. Some things have been ruined worse than others. Dungeons & Dragons have been ruined pretty much beyond repair. Magic the Gathering has been ruined beyond repair. Star Wars ruined beyond repair. All of Marvel ruined beyond repair. Except for maybe Marvel Rivals. And I don't even play that. I just know that a lot of people love the game. I can't speak to it. I think the biggest assassination of something I love, the biggest assassination of something I love is Resident Evil. So to see videos like this, it reminds me, guys, it reminds me that God does exist. He may have abandoned us, but he does still exist. Fuck Resident Evil 4 Remake. Fuck Resident Evil in general from, like, Resident Evil 8 onwards. Maybe even 7. But I'm kind of an apologist for 7. I got mixed opinions. And fuck Capcom. I hope everybody working for them gets cancer. Especially the localizers. And not like the cool, you can heal from it kind of cancer. Like testicular cancer. Even for the women. Make sure to like the video, by the way. Lost Monster Man for a 5-banger. What would you say to people saying this is just some unk slop? So I can answer that in a jokey manner, but I will actually give you a legitimate answer. Because I think, I could be wrong, Lost Monster Man, but I think this is your very first super chat on the channel. And if it is, thank you, by the way. I've only seen unk slop used as a meme. I've never actually seen somebody unironically call something unk slop. Now, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just haven't seen it. And if there are people that have unironically used the term unk slop, then shit, tag me on X. I'd love to see these dumb motherfuckers. But since I've only seen it used as a meme, I don't think anyone's ever actually called Resident Evil 4 unk slop. Now, I've seen them call it some dumb shit, but not unk slop. That said, thank you, man. I appreciate the 5-banger. Means the absolute world to me. This is for you.
There's nothing more cool than being hugged by someone you like. But if someone tries to touch you in a place or in a way that makes you feel uncomfortable, you touch them back.
What is unk slop? By the way, we're gonna be wrapping up the stream here in just a minute. But I'll chill for you guys for just a sec. Jada Warlock says, "What is unk slop?" So unk slop is so you know how like a lot of us older generation type folk call the modern stuff slop. Modern Marvel, modern Star Wars, modern gaming in general. Unk slop is as far as I can tell, just a meme. The new generation, the Gen Zs or the Gen Betas or whatever the fuck they're called, saying that the shit that we had growing up was slop back then. We just didn't realize it and we're nostalgia for it, so we can't tell that it's slop. That's what it means. But again, I've never actually seen someone unironically use that term. No, friend slop is totally different, Gal Carrymon. Friend slop is totally different than unk slop. My 10-year-ish kid? No way, Razor Off. Your 10-year-old says unk slop? You need to beat your kid. I don't know. You need to invest in some corporal punishment. We had our slop, but we knew how to avoid it. And that's the thing, yeah, Jada Warlock. Like, everyone got some slop from their childhood that they still love, that they know is slop. And that's totally fine. As I got some video games that I loved as a kid that I know were slop. Leon, do you like Godzilla? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I'm a huge Godzilla fan, actually. Godzilla is one of my favorite IPs. I find the original 1954 Godzilla movie to be one of the greatest films ever made. Huge Godzilla fan. If it's not a top 5 IP, it's definitely a top 10. Godzilla's top 10 all-time IP for me. I haven't watched the teaser yet. I have it saved in my watch later feed, but I haven't seen it yet. I was debating on whether I wanted to play it on stream or not, but the stream has already gone so long. So maybe we'll do it tomorrow. Maybe we'll include it in tomorrow's lunch hour. Because we will, of course, be back tomorrow. That being said, let's see who's live. Let's see who's live. Because I think it is time to wrap this shit up and give somebody a raid. Let's see. Who is... I can drop in while eating a brisket. Oh, there we go. That's that good shit, son. I'm actually about to cook me up some New York strip after this stream, baby. Give me that New York strip going, son. We're going to raid Smooth the DJ. He's on with the Hump Day Chinwag right now. We're going to raid Smooth. I want everybody to go into Smooth's chat. I want y'all to type Vital Idol Raid. And until next time, it is all here in the... Oh, and thank you so much to those of you guys that donated, by the way. Once the stream is over and I cook that New York strip, I'm just going right back to editing my anime tourist video. Oh, and tonight, if you remember, in the Discord, tonight around probably 9-ish, give or take, 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time, we're doing our watch party. We have a watch party tomorrow as well for mating habits of humans or something like that. But tonight we're watching the Dead Man's Shoes watch party. So whoever it was that recommended Dead Man's Shoes for the wheel spin, we're doing that tonight, and we're doing mating habits of Earthlings or whatever tomorrow. So Main habits of the Earthbound human. Thank you, Razoroth. But tonight is Dead Man's Shoes. So come into the Discord around 9 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. And that's about that. Thank you so much for all the donos. Thank you everybody for showing up. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Deuces.